What's up, everybody? It is Thursday night, February 11th, 2021. Welcome. Kick back, relax. Tonight, wherever the conversations go, they go. This is Ask Me Anything, Ask DT, Q&A, whatever you want to call it. Oh, wait, whoa. Let's get those emojis lit up. There you go. See the wheel in the back? I thought of something today. Later on today, on this show, we're going to give this bad boy away. The WWF magazine, autographed by Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. It's Beckett authenticated, so you know it's 100% legit. And I was thinking, what if somebody doesn't want the prize? What if somebody wins but really doesn't want the collectible, doesn't want to be bothered with eBay? Aha! The wheel. What we will do is whoever wins tonight, they can have the option of taking the magazine, or they could give the magazine back and I spin the wheel. And whatever it lands on, you get that money. And this is not pennies. This is not quarters. These are dollars. Be aware, though, those two purple blocks, those are frowns, which means you get a big fat goose egg. But as you can see, there's $10, $20, $25, $50, $75, $100, and a big whopping $200. So we will do that maybe later. Depends on who wins the contest. Spin the wheel, make the deal. All right, a few people want to see a little practice. Just to show you it's legit. All right, a little practice. All right, I know it's a little glossy because of the lighting, but here's a little practice. If somebody traded in the magazine for this instead, they would have won $50 instead. And maybe in the future, we'll do something where I'll make it like you get to spin it twice. Maybe we'll have someone win 2 spins. Maybe we'll do something where you spin twice and you can possibly lose it all. We'll incorporate the wheel a little bit later. Oh, that AEW title in the background, I think we're going to give it to VJ. His name, Donversations. I'm not thrilled about the name, to be honest with you. But when we have conversations one-on-one with interviews, you know, what's more of a direct theme or word to relate to that is conversations. But since I'm Don Tony, Donversations, I don't like the name. I'm not thrilled about it. But when you hear the name, you know what it's about. I appreciate everybody who gave ideas. Thursday night delight, Thursday night this, Thursday night. Problem is, the title doesn't really tell you what the show is all about. That's why I've been going with this ask. Oh, and by the way, I had a few of you request this for this episode. So why don't we do this instead? There you go. There you go. No graphics, just chat room and us tonight. That's not a good sign. One's Motorez, who's on Facebook right now, says he'll take the mag. Well, if you win it, it's a Who Am I contest. The hints I gave tonight, I don't think are very tough. It is someone who you have seen on TV multiple times in the last bunch of months. You really should not find this too hard. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody wins it within 2 or 3 of the hints. We'll do that a little bit later. But all of the shows that I do are yours. But tonight especially, whatever you feel like talking about, pro wrestling, life, growing up, DT, politics, news, sports. Scott Woodford, by the way, Scott, good friend of the family. I hope you're healing up still. I mean, by now you should be healed and ready to go. He wants to know cancel culture. What are my thoughts on it? We'll get to that conversation in a little bit, I promise you. Want to give a shout out to SoFly. Hey, you see, they can both be on the screen now. For my pops, once again, you know what? Some of you may not like this idea. It's not the full gift, but I did something today. Haven't gotten it yet. I will share it with you because you know me, I am always transparent. There are people out there that raise money for various things or whatever it is, and they never show you any evidence that the money goes to where it's going to go. Man, I could tell you stories of people ripping people off, but you know, it's not my place to do it. You know, some people out there, I truthfully believe some people sometimes will donate money to something. They know deep down inside the money's not going to go where they believe it's going to go, but they still do it anyway, and they don't want to know the truth. You know, it's almost like, hey, I'll give you a great example. There's a lot, not as many as before, but you used to have a lot of these guys that would be right by the traffic lights. You know, out of work, homeless, please, need money for food. And you give them $1, you give them $5, you give them spare change, and you say to yourself, something tells me this money's not going towards food, but you do it anyway, and you don't want to know the truth. And I know a lot of you know this story already. About 10, 15 years ago, I was with my uncle, and we were pretty close to my house, and there was a guy with a sign that, you know, was really disheveled. He's like, really need money, hungry, no food, this and that. So my uncle pulls over, and he tells the guy to come here. The guy walks over. There was I swear on my mother, there was a Dunkin' Donuts like quarter of a block away. He's like, you hungry? He's like, yes, please, please. All right, what do you want from Dunkin' Donuts? Anything you want. We're going to go to Dunkin' Donuts. We're going to make a run. What do you want? No, I'll just take the money instead. No, you want a sandwich? You want a donut? No, just take the money. My uncle told him this. I know maybe he didn't like Dunkin' Donuts, but still. Now, I am going to repeat some good news that I shared with some of you on Monday. Steve Joseph, how do I get a link to the Discord channel after the show? DM me. If you're on Twitter, DM me at DonTonyD, or you could email me, dontony@dontony.com. I will send you an invite immediately, and that goes for anyone out there. If you want to join the Discord channel, and I am working on getting the Discord chat to pop up on occasion. Now, obviously, those chat rooms are not busy. Facebook only has a handful of people. Twitch might have one or two. And trust me, I appreciate anybody who's tuning in. Scott Woodford, Wanzamo Torres, Jay Raphael, Larry Jackson. You know, I appreciate it. YouTube obviously is where this show originates from. So I welcome everyone to stop by over there. But that's not convenient for some of you. But I am going to, and my point is, we can do like little balloon chats in the near future, little at a time. So yeah, if you want to be on Discord, let me know after the show. Big Armada 1988, keeping my father in your thought. I tell you, man, the love that you all sent this way since late last week has been incredible. Brought a lot of people to tears. In fact, I know not all of you tune in to every show that I do. So there's possibly some of you out there that may be only tuning in for the first time since last Thursday. So I want to share with you a very, very quick update. Very quick update. You all know from last week, my father went for his stress test last Tuesday. Got very lightheaded. They put him on the floor, smelling salts, this and that. They did the rest of the test, and the doctor told my father, you got to go right into the hospital, get a couple of stents put in your heart. So, you know, that's, you know, what happened. So last Thursday, we thought he was going in for a couple of stents. We learned quickly that when the hospital, St. Francis Hospital, you know, they looked further into his heart, they found his carotid artery coronary artery, I think it is, 96% closed. He had to get coronary artery bypass surgery. And any of you out there that remember all the stories I told about my grandmother who got me into wrestling, she had a heart attack very, very young age. She died in 1991, the Hulkamaniac that I always tell you about. And, you know, since my grandmother died, I never knew all the details. I know that she had a heart attack. I know there was evidence she tried to get to the phone and she fell. My father was the one to show up there and found her. She was deceased. But I never knew specifics. And my mom, for the first time since 1991, told me a couple of days ago that the artery, I guess, in the back of the heart is what happened to my grandmother. What happened to my father, if it was the back artery as well, he would have been dead already. But he ended up getting the coronary artery bypass surgery. He was in surgery for 6.5 hours. All of you that sent all of your well wishes, that Twitter here, super chats, I've told you many times, my father does not like what I do here. My father, and I know I repeat it often, but my father still to this day says to me, what are you doing with these shows? Why are you wasting all this time? If you have that much time to do shows, you should have another job. You have bills. You have thousands of dollars in bills. You want to get married. You want to do this. And you're sitting there talking about Hulk Hogan. That's what I hear over and over and over again. That's how parents are sometimes. Well, I showed him Friday after the surgery, could not talk, had tubes in his chest, tubes in his back. I took my phone and I put it up to the tablet and I just went through the menus, went through some of your comments, went through everything that you wrote. And this was his legit, actually, you know what? Let's do it like this so we can leave the chat up there. That was his legit response to it. Got very emotional after. He got emotional. Legitimately smiled at all of your comments. This is 6-8 hours after his surgery. It was freaking powerful, man. Powerful. But that's not the only news. On Tuesday, this past Tuesday, 48 hours ago, my mom gets a phone call from the hospital. I'm sorry for anyone out there that knows the story from Monday, but my mom gets a phone call from St. Francis Hospital. Your husband would like to see you for Valentine's Day. Would you like to see your husband for Valentine's Day? They have no visitors right now. They're not accepting visitors. So I wasn't there when the call came in. But my mom, she don't drive. She never knew how to drive. Obviously, one of us would have to take her to the hospital. So the doctor tells my mom to have your son call us. So she calls me up. She says, could you do me a favor? Could you call the hospital? He said something about going to visit your dad for Valentine's Day. I'm like, no problem. I call the hospital. I get the doctor on the phone. And the doctor tells me something that I literally had to think about it and almost asked him to repeat it twice. And what he was telling me, I just honestly couldn't believe it. I thought for a second, maybe he is being an annoying son of a bitch right now. Maybe he's talking about Trump, even though he's not thrilled about Trump anymore. But this doesn't make sense. But when they told me what the doctor told me, I'm like, hell fucking yeah. 2 hours later, guess who's in my car? I took him home Tuesday afternoon. Not even 4 days after his surgery, he's home. And incredible. Absolutely incredible. He's obviously still in pretty rough shape. On Patreon Tuesday, I don't regret it, but a few people wanted to see the cut. So I posted a picture of him without his shirt on to show the extent of what they did. It wasn't graphic or anything, but I thought that might have been a little bit too personal. But my father's home, and he is obviously resting. Now, a week from today, we get the second vaccine for COVID. And news came out today that each and every one of you tuning in right now would want to know. Dead serious. This is not only going to affect you personally, It's going to affect your friends, your relatives. If you're a wrestling fan, if you want to go to wrestling events, if you want to go to a restaurant, if you want to go to a sporting event, what I'm about to tell you, some of you may already know, but what I'm about to tell you is a huge, huge story. My advice to you, if you want to look it up on social media, go right ahead, because that's where a lot of people will get the original links from. But ignore the noise. Ignore all the paranoid fucks out there. Ignore all the tweet fuckers. Ignore everyone out there that is going to try to spin this into like a Debbie Downer. The CDC today reported that anybody who has been vaccinated with the 2 shots, fully vaccinated, had the 2 shots, if you are exposed to anybody that has COVID, you do not need to go into quarantine. As long as you don't experience any serious symptoms from it. Let me repeat that. If you have been vaccinated and you are exposed to someone who has COVID, you do not need to go into quarantine. And we've talked about this before. The reason, no, Rock, you don't, not even 2 weeks. You don't have to go into quarantine, not even for a day, as long as you don't show any symptoms, serious symptoms. You might get a little cough. Let me explain why. Because when this came out today, for about 2 hours, instead of promoting the show for tonight and everything else, I said, let me read into this a little further. Let me get the scientific explanation. This is the deal. And I want everybody, and I'm sorry if this is a little boring, but I think this is something very important that everybody would want to know. COVID is like the flu. Now, I know a lot of you are immediately saying like, duh, no shit, Don Tony. Tell us something else we don't know. Here's my point. You will never be immune to COVID. When you're a baby and they give you the polio vaccine, for almost all of us, we're immune to polio. Can't get it. Sometimes you hear people say, if you get chicken pox, you can't get it twice. You're pretty much immune from it. COVID is like a cold after you're vaccinated. COVID is like the flu in the sense that if you get exposed to someone right now that has a cold and you have no symptoms of the cold, you wouldn't go into quarantine. If you're around a loved one and they have the flu, they have bronchitis or something like that, anything, and you have no symptoms, you don't have to go into quarantine. The same thing with COVID, because after you get the 2 shots, you have so many antibodies in your system that even if somebody deliberately coughed in your face that had COVID, the minute COVID gets into your system, we talked about this before, your body is protected. Just like the U.S. Capitol right now with all those armed guards and everything, after 2 vaccines, your body is equipped with thousands of armed guards. So the minute COVID enters your body's like, the fuck are you? So it's immediately fighting it. So that's why you don't have to go into quarantine. Now, if you experience symptoms, you're coughing, you're wheezing, then there's an elevated risk. Then you have to, but that goes the same thing with the flu. That goes the same thing with a cold. If you're sick, you got a fever and a cold right now, you're probably going to stay in bed. You're probably going to call in sick. You're probably not going to go to school. If you get the flu for a couple of days, the 24-hour bug, you get a stomach virus, you're going to probably stay home. It's the same thing with COVID once you have those antibodies. So this is a big deal. Who's triggered? Who's triggered? Oh, please. Who's triggered? Oh, tell me who's triggered. I didn't have it prepared, but I could cue it up. Marcus, why not Tony talk? There's so many variations of that. we keep it Ask DT, Ask Me Anything, Q&A. I think that's general, and it allows a lot of different things to go on. So nobody's triggered right now, so I can't play it. I play it anyway. Those are for the people who are triggered. So from now on, we don't address them. We just hit the triggered button, but nobody's triggered right now. So this is big news. This is big news because if you are vaccinated, you're going to see venues open up. New York already talked about opening up venues. You're going to see so many changes in the very near future. I still feel May, June is really when things are going to start going into cruise control. There's going to be a ton of people around the world that will not get vaccinated. I have family members that absolutely refuse to be vaccinated. I don't want to name anybody specifically. It's not my immediate family, but I know people all over. I'm not getting vaccinated. It's not even the risk. There's a lot of people that don't believe in vaccinations, that don't believe in flu shots. So this threat is always going to be around. But for those out there who are looking to be vaccinated, or if you have family members who are vaccinated, as long as they don't show any serious symptoms, they'll be fine. And this is the CDC saying this. This is not Trump. This is not some news broadcaster. This is the CDC. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So I didn't tell you the little extra detail about my dad, which actually involves some of you out there. Some of you may not actually be happy about this, but I decided to break it up into two. I'll tell you what I mean in a minute, but want to give a couple of more shout outs. Tyree Jones. If it happened, what's up, DT? Who, if it happened, would win in a believable shoot promo contest on the crowd between CM Punk and MJF? If you're saying them cutting promos on each other, I know some people are going to get mad at me when I say this, because there is no straight up correct answer. Basically, what Tyree is saying is that if CM Punk and MJF legitimately got into like a verbal spat, or they were starting to cut promos on each other for real in front of people, you know, I personally think MJF would win. I think MJF, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because CM Punk is beautiful on the mic. CM Punk is smooth as silk when he cuts promos. CM Punk makes everything that he's talking about credible, legitimate, believable. MJF, a lot of his insults is based on real life. I mean, I felt so bad. I didn't bring it up before. I felt so bad. There is a girl, and some of you know who I'm talking about. There is a girl, yes, Darren, MJF is savage. There's a girl on social media. She's got a little YouTube channel. She only has maybe like 15 followers. And she's a big wrestling fan, AEW fan. And she criticized MJF. Now, I don't want to say some of her attributes that are not as pleasant looking, because I don't want to poke fun at her, but I could say part of it. Her teeth aren't in the best of shape. Not because she eats candy or anything like that. Some people, you're born there. I had braces when I was young. I had braces for a very long time. I had to wear that dumb retainer. Otherwise I'd be like a horse by now. I'd be like, but her teeth are not in the best of shape. And she hashtagged MJF about letting up on something. It might have been Brody Lee's son or something like that. And MJF went savage on her. And when I looked at her channel a little bit further, she suffers from depression. She's battling mental illness. And, it doesn't justify it one way or the other. But MJF was fucking savage on her. And this guy will hit raw notes on people that I don't think CM Punk would actually do. I think CM Punk would educationally, put you down. MJF will just say the ultimate, anything else but racist. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he will just hit that raw nerve and not give a shit. VJ, DT keeps up with the COVID-19. He agrees that Oscar and Mickey James are fine. He used to be brash, but now he's tame. This rap was made up by the Acclaimed. That's awesome, man. You heard the news, right? That's probably coming your way. I have it on display. Hey, just rhymed. I'm a poet in case you didn't know it. I have it, the Acclaim beat. I got the belt on display for one night because it's coming your way. You came up with a name that I don't really like, but it explains what I'm doing on Thursday nights. I know I rap like shit and I know I sound like garbage. After the show, I'm going to go eat porridge. I can't. Yes, Nick Lambert, MJF is money. So I think MJF would kick CM Punk's ass, for real. Dominic Mcglynn, what's my favorite UK DJ? Oh, my God. Masters at Work. I don't even know if you classify him as UK. The DJ Pierre, is he UK? I mean, I loved all the, wow. I wish I would have saw this before I would have saw the show, because I would have refreshed my memory as far as like the old school DJs, house music. My God, when house music exploded, with hip house in the late 80s, like 88, my God. I mean, it blew up overseas. Yeah, I'm looking at some names. That's some names. But I love the old school UK DJs. I mean, there's some phenomenal ones. Like I said, if anyone out there that's into dance music, electronic music, even if you want to get a little bit of education about old school dance, house music, hip house, techno, breakbeat, I'll never forget, and I know some of you know this. Couple of years ago, I did a rant on something. And I think what happened was I was driving. In fact, I think it was in the wintertime, and I was driving down a block, and there was a car, I guess, like in the middle of the street. I don't remember all the details, but it was, I talked on the show that this motherfucker, he would not move. All he was doing is cranking this fucking jungle music. And I had a bunch of people they thought they were slick, going on social media. DT's a racist. He actually called these people the jungle music and this and that, not even understanding that there is a genre called jungle house, jungle music. Unbelievable. So, Mobius from the UK. Yes, he was. Absolutely. Chris Fowler talking about the promos. Miz is good, but too memorized. Miz is PG, and obviously because of the world we're in, it's 2021, and they're not going to go, old school thumbing. Nobody's going thugonomics. My God, Nia Jax says, my hole! And everybody can't get it out of their mouth. And I'm guilty of it too. I talked about it Monday. Yeah, SoFly remembers that story too, so far. Dominic also says, my dad is rock star here. Listen, man, I know you're here to just talk about everything, but I know you don't want me to keep bringing this up. But I want to finish what I wanted to tell you all earlier. I said last week that I was going to, whatever that was contributed, I was going to double and triple it and get something really good for him. And I was going to put the card and put everybody's name on it. And I am still doing that. And I will show you proof when I do it. Here's the problem. Tuesday, he came home. So right away, I'm thinking, okay, let me get like an edible arrangement, something fruit, this and that, because you can't obviously eat too heavy. And my mom tells me yesterday, while I'm at work, your father just got this incredible huge basket with kiwi and oranges and apples. And I'm like, mother, I wanted to get him this big basket. How much fruit do you think he could eat? I can't eat fruit. So today, my mom says, he got another basket today. And she sent me a picture of it. And this one has fruit and chocolate and balloons. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to get him? Then it hit me. My father is a big fan, and I know some of you are not going to like the person that I say. He is a big fan of Judge Jeanine Pirro. She comes from New York. My father has met her before. Yes, she's very pro-Trump. I'm not, there's some things that I don't like about her too, but he is a big fan of hers, Judge Jeanine Pirro. My father doesn't know about Cameo. So I went on Cameo and I contacted Judge Jeanine and I made an offer and I told her, I sent her a DM, on Cameo, and they only give you like 100 characters, so you got to keep it short. So I said, my father met you before at this party and he loves your show and, told her the situation and if you could give him a get well, I think he would love it. So she emails me. And she says, who's your dad? And I was able to explain a little bit more. And she says, I'm going to do something really special for him. And I don't know what she has planned besides the Cameo, but she made it clear that she was going to do something on top of it. So I'm going to surprise him with that. Now, obviously, especially when I double and triple match what everybody contributed, there is left over. So I will get a second thing for him. And I'm probably going to go on Goldbelly, and I'm probably going to get him some type of food that's, safe for him to eat, but something really, really nice from a different state. Maybe crab cakes. You know the story about him going to Baltimore and stopping through Baltimore because he wanted to buy crab cakes, and he ended up in the worst neighborhood of the United States. And cops actually, this is a true story. My father went to Florida a couple of years ago and drove back with his worker. And they said, oh, let's stop in Baltimore. And right near Camden Yards, there is like some famous places for like crab cakes and stuff like that. So my father's like, let's go for crab cakes. So he looks at it on the map. He types it on the thing. He starts driving to go get crab cakes. If anybody out there doesn't know what I'm talking about, just go on YouTube and type in Baltimore worst neighborhood or something like that, crack, or Baltimore and crack, and just look at what you see. My father drove through that neighborhood with a Mercedes truck, not a new one, but a Mercedes truck. Cops pulled him over, and the cop said to my father, what are you doing over here? My father says, we're getting crab cakes. He says, in this neighborhood, you're going to get killed. I swear on my mother, the police gave him an escort all the way to the crab cake shop. He bought them crab cakes too, and then they escorted him back, I think, onto I-95 or whatever the highway was. And then we looked into that neighborhood a little bit further, and I sent them YouTube links, and it's like the worst neighborhood in the country. Makes Compton look like Sesame Street. Crack cakes, yes, yeah. So, Dominic, man, much love, seriously, and everyone out there. So I can't thank you enough. It's just, to see him smile and know that it was legit, and he was just looking at everybody, and he couldn't say anything, and on the way home, he's like, who are those people? I swear to God, on Tuesday when I took him home, he's like, who are those people? So somebody brought up, Dominic with the trifecta. What do I think of Rick Ashley? Is that the guy? Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and hurt you, never gonna say goodbye. Is that who you're talking about, Rick Ashley? What was the big deal about everybody talking about him this week? Was it because it was his birthday? I saw a few people writing, I think he was like 55 years old or something like that. Honestly, man, thank you, VJ. Honestly, I grew up in this, I was too young to really remember the 70s all that much. When I think of the 70s, I think of Atari and a couple of Yankee games when I was too young to understand it. But for some reason, I still smell the charcoal from the pretzels to this day, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. But the 80s is when I started working as a preteen. The 80s is when I would go to like things with my family, driving around in cars and pay attention to music. And I worked for my father's store. My father opened up his grocery store in 1982. It's still open now. And I worked for him in 1984 for, you know, a bunch of years, off and on. And I do remember when this freaking song came out. We have a radio station called Z100, 95.5, WPLJ, I think it was. Every goddamn hour, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna wear a gown. Like, I'm like, you know, you watch it once, and then back then, MTV was nothing but music videos. I don't even know if VH1 was in existence yet. But then they would have shows like Friday Night Videos. If anybody remembers, some wrestlers have hosted Friday Night Videos. Friday Night, Z100 New York, 100.3 FM, Darren. But you would have Friday Night Videos, Saturday Night Videos, I don't know. I mean, if anybody remembers Video Music Box, fucking Video Music Box, man. You people want a little background of yours truly and my love for hip-hop music back in the day? Go on YouTube and search Video Music Box 80s and see what that channel was all about. That was the coolest music channel that I've ever come across in my lifetime. Video Music Box. Yeah, Rick Ashley, when I first heard him, I thought he was black. His voice, I thought he was black. And watching a Friday Night Video once, not only was I shocked to find that he was white, he looked like he was 9 years old. He had like perfect complexion. I know the lighting. I mean, as a little kid, you don't understand any of that. I'm looking at him and I'm like, how is this deep voice coming out of that mouth? You look at him at that time and if you would have looked at his face and his body, if you didn't know anything about him, you would have expected him to sound like if you stepped on a nail. Never gonna give you a... Like, how does he have that voice? And then me and my friends used to joke around. And I swear on God, this is not a joke. I remember me and my friends back then joking around, you know, a couple of years later, like, could you imagine if when Rick Ashley, like, pumps someone or has sex? Just imagine that voice coming out of his mouth. Like, it's like so deep and it's like just imagine this guy pumping. Like, the voice doesn't match the body. I hated that song. I don't remember any other songs he did. Maybe if you mention the name of the song, I'll remember it. But there was some songs back then that were on every hour that you would get so sick of, man. Culture Club, Karma Chameleon, Cyndi Lauper, Wham, Careless Whisper. I'm getting angry. Oh, man, every freaking hour. Careless Whisper, fuck you. Then Milli Vanilli later on. Girl, you know it's true. Ooh, 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 fuck you. Oh, man, it sucked. I was not alive when John Lennon got shot, I think, in 1980. But, you know, never saw the Beatles. Never saw the Beatles. I think Beatles are one of the greatest bands in history. I mean, pioneers of music. Beatles are freaking awesome. I have so much footage when John Lennon got shot. You know, I have some odd news footage in my collection. And like I said, in the very near future, I told you I have that VHS thing. I think it was Ben Salmon who came up with this idea. I bought this. You hook this up to a VCR. Hook it up to the computer. I have about 300 or 400 VHS tapes with no labels on them that I have recorded as early as 1982. I kept everything, wrestling, whatever I recorded. Now, obviously, and I'm not joking when I say this, when we start doing this, obviously it can't be monetized, so I don't get in any trouble with ads. But I have to screen the tapes in advance. Even if I just press play on a VCR and just put 8 times the speed and just sit back and just watch, because I'm not going to lie, when I was very young, I recorded some adult entertainment. That's what we did back then. How many of you out there, you don't have to admit it, but when you were maybe, in your teens, your, mid-teens, and you were up late at night and you were able to put on like Nightcap or whatever it was, you record a few minutes of it, you get your satisfaction out of it, and then you delete it like 2 days later. You record over it. I could only imagine that there's probably some tapes where there might be a couple of minutes where I didn't tape over it and maybe just forgot about it. And the last thing I want to do is stream it live, especially on YouTube, and we start seeing like big chunks of hairy bush from the 80s. Good times, man. Scrambled porn, good times. Your Best Bargain. What's up, Mike? The album Lennon signed for his Killer sold for like $750,000. Yeah, I mean, I kicked myself in the ass 20 plus years ago. If anybody ever looks at my eBay account, I think I registered in 1999. That's how long I have the account. Back then, I'm not saying that was available on eBay, but you would come across some really wild things on eBay for not a lot of money. Somebody even sent me a DM today that somebody's selling on eBay from WWF New York, the dinner menu, and they're selling it for $200. I did the advanced search history for completed items, and it has sold for like $150 before. I kid you not, and I know some of you out there remember this. When WWF New York closed, glasses, napkins, straws, menus, dishes, ashtrays, it flooded eBay. And people were selling this shit for $1, $2. Nobody was buying it. I'm going to buy something from WWF New York. It's out of bid. This is 20 years ago. I swear on God, I should have cleaned house, put it in a box, and stored it away for 20 years. Because some of that shit that was $1 on eBay 20 years ago, you can now sell for... Look at my ECW shirts. Have you ever searched on eBay for original ECW shirts? It's a funny story. Anybody who goes back to the hotline days know this story. I got an ECW jacket, through someone. And I worked for ECW for the last year plus pushing tickets. I always wanted one of those leather ECW. If you ever watch old school ECW around 1995, 96, you'll see New Jack wearing the bomber, the leather bomber. You'll see Dreamer, others wearing this leather ECW jacket that was awesome. Somebody got me one. I put it up on eBay. And I remember Sean the Mick, you might remember, Mask Maniac, and others making fun of me because I had an ECW bomber. Like, look at this mark with this. And look, it was just in good fun at the time. They didn't mean anything, like really harsh about it. But I sold that son of a bitch on eBay for like $75. If I would have held on to it, I could probably sell it right now for $500 to $1,000. There are ECW shirts that have sold on eBay for $300, $400. That is sick. That is insane. I know a couple of years ago, I think Blue Meanie made a killing selling BWO shirts on eBay. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Tony's asking, will they ever open up something like WWF New York again? Never say never, but I don't think so. I think if WWE opens up a Hall of Fame, a physical Hall of Fame, they will have dining options. They will definitely have some places where you can eat. It only makes sense, especially in Florida. You know, beautiful weather. Not everything needs to be indoors. You could have even like, you know, almost like a picnic setup. I mean, obviously not as simple as that, but yeah, people bringing up it's incredible. What are those cards? Dungeons and Dragons, are those the cards that I'm talking about? There were cards that came out in like the 80s and the 90s. And I remember to this day going to stores and not buying that, but buying other things. And you'd find these cards on the floor everywhere. Is it the Dungeons and Dragons, or am I thinking of another card right now? There were cards that people would buy, and they would be scattered. Magic the Gathering? I don't think it was Magic the Gathering. Might be Pokemon. I do remember Garbage Pail Kids. Mish actually bought me a couple of packs a couple of years ago. Probably Pokemon cards, though. And they were everywhere. And you look on eBay now and see Pokemon cards selling for that one card, thousands of dollars. There's so many things. Even Atari video games. I mean, everybody remembers the E.T. fiasco with Atari. And there was always that rumor that they buried millions or tens of thousands of the E.T. games in a sinkhole or something. I mean, some of these things that sell now is incredible. That's one of the reasons why I still have my boom boxes. I got 4 boom boxes like this big, and they still work. They're not in the greatest of condition. 2 of them are mint, and I haven't sold them yet. And once in a while, I go on eBay, and one of them I see like almost brand new, $2,600 for a freaking radio. Next week, maybe I'll post a picture of the boom boxes. I keep forgetting to do it. Pokemon came out in 1998. Yeah, that's probably about right. It was in the 90s. It was definitely in the 90s. The 80s, I remember the baseball cards and all that. And you'd have theme cards for like TV shows and stuff. It was the 90s. It was definitely the 90s. Yeah, they did find the landfill. I did see that Atari special, by the way. Man, that game, when it came out, that was awful. That E.T. game. That freaking neck would go. I would always want to strangle it. Seriously. That game sucked. RR was born in 1999, man. That's cool. That's cool. Judge Judy. You all know the Judge Judy story about me, right? I actually was telling a customer about it the other day. For anybody who wants a quick story. Because like I said, tonight, Thursdays, we talk about anything. Doesn't have to be about wrestling. Anything. Whatever you feel like talking about. I love that we could talk about Garbage Pail Kids and Pokemon cards and, you know, Rick Ashley. I mean, you do that on Monday. And people would be like, stick to wrestling. The Judge Judy story, and Lee, I'm sorry if this comes a little explicit. It's the only way I could paint the picture. I've been doing insurance since 1998. I used to write a lot of dollar vans. For people out there that don't know what dollar vans are, is some of you, maybe these exist where you live. Maybe they don't. But instead of buses, if you're on, let's say, a route and you want to go from, let's say, these stores to stores maybe 10 minutes away, or you want to go to get something to eat, and you don't want to hop on a bus, there'll be vans that will pick you up for $1 and drop you off wherever you want to go, as long as it's within like 5 minutes or whatever. So what happens is you are driving, if anybody lives in my neck of the woods, just go to Flatbush Avenue and you know what I'm talking about. You would be like standing like at a bus stop, and a giant van will come racing up to you. Where do you want to go? And, you know, if you did it, they pick you up, you give them $1 or $2, and they drive you wherever, and sometimes it's cheaper than the bus. So, yeah, now he knows what I'm talking about. So anyway, I live in Queens. My office is in Queens. It's about 10 minutes from Brooklyn. And about 15 years ago, I had a guy come in. There was a dollar van. I had never written dollar vans before. He asked me to write the insurance for him. I wrote it. Me, naive, didn't understand that dollar vans, you could only register them in Brooklyn or one part of Queens, because the taxi and limousine commission. So this guy told me that he works in Yonkers, upstate New York, which is about an hour and a half away from me, an hour away. So in Yonkers, it's cheaper than Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York's auto insurance rates are some of the highest in the nation. So I wrote this guy. Now, looking back on it, this guy went to all of his friends and said, yeah, man, you got to go to this place, man. Either he said he has no fucking clue what he's doing, or you could put that. And I started getting all this crazy business from these dollar vans. They're all coming to me. And they're all working upstate New York and this and that. And the insurance company calls me up one day and says, why are they all coming to you? If you're an hour and a half away from where they're working, why are they coming to you? And I'm like, I don't know. They got recommended. So anyway, I find out that 80%, maybe even 90%, no exaggeration, of all the dollar vans in Flatbush, Brooklyn, are Jamaican. There's a whole group of people. There's actually like a head guy that is Jamaican. And what a lot of them do is they take all the dollars that they make and they send it back to their families in Jamaica, Kenya. And, so it's a noble thing to do, but they're all committing fraud. Then you start hearing that they staged accidents so they could get money this way and this. So anyway, long story short, I stopped writing dollar vans completely. The head guy of the dollar vans comes into my office and he says, yeah, man, could you do me a favor, man? Could you please, could you write a few more people? I can't find insurance, this and that. And I'm going to throw a name out there just to show you I'm not exaggerating at all. You Google it, you'll be amazed at what this fuck did. You'll love it, trust me. Everybody tuning in, I promise you'll love it. So I wrote a couple more. I wrote about 20, 25 more. What happened was they have what's called livery insurance. That's what their insurance is called, livery. And in New York, livery insurance renews March 1st every year. If you buy insurance, let's say on October 1st, your policy expires March 1st. Then you have a whole year. If you buy the policy in December, it expires March 1st. Then you have the whole year. If you buy it on Valentine's Day, your policy will only be for 2 weeks. Then it renews March 1st. So now, by now I have about 40, 50 livery guys that have insurance with me. Now we're about 3-4 weeks before March 1st. So I write them all a letter because I can't have 50 people coming into my office at the same time. My office holds about 10 people. So I write a letter to all of them, same letter, I just changed the name and the address, and I said, look, your policy renews March 1st. If you want to renew, call me up, make an appointment, I'll have you come in at a particular time, you leave a deposit, sign the papers, I'll get you done. Thinking that I have 3 weeks, and I'll spread it out, so even if I do 5, 10 a day, that's fine. I get it done pretty quickly because not everybody's going to get it done early. They'll wait almost to the last minute. So for the first, Ryan, remind me about Steve Cutler in a minute. All right, because I talked about this last week. You probably didn't hear it, which is okay. I'll explain. A lot of clickbait online. Let me just say that. So anyway, after about 3 weeks, out of the 50 livery guys, maybe 3 or 4 came in and did the renewal. So now I'm thinking to myself, shit, I'm going to lose all these customers? Like they're all going to quit, cancel? And like nobody was showing up. 2 days before their policies expired, one person comes in, 2 persons, 3 persons, 4 persons, 5 persons. There's like 10 people in my office. They all waited to the last minute to renew. And I'm saying to myself, the office is only 2-3 people. I can't have 20, 30 livery guys in my office. So as they come in, I said, look, I wrote you a letter, set up an appointment. You know, I can't do all this on the spot. Sign the papers, leave me the deposit. I will get the paperwork done. I'll have you come in tomorrow, the next day, to get your ID card. So I thought I had it under control. I got about 10 guys out of the office, and I'd say about a half hour later, my father walks in. So my father owns the whole shopping center. My father walks into my office, and at that time, I had these beautiful neon signs. I had these beautiful blinds, so I couldn't see outside my office. He walks into my office. The only people in my office was me and my secretary. And he says, no, Darren, there's no racist stuff. He says, what the fuck are you doing to my shopping center? And I said, what are you talking about? He says, why don't you go outside and just take a look? I open up my door. There's 3 or 4 livery guys in the hallway, all eating food, garbage everywhere. Every parking space in the parking lot had a van in it except for one. Nobody left. They walked out of my office and they all decided to wait downstairs. No customers could park to go grocery shopping, go here, go here, go here. Everybody stood. So now I started getting angry. And I started telling these customers, I'm like, why are you waiting? I may not have your papers done for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. You can't stay. You know, other people need to shop here too. So some were very respectful and left. Some said to me, no, I'll wait. I'm like, okay, no problem. So more people started showing up and more people started showing up. And I almost had a panic attack. My father said, your business is done. He said, that's it. He says, I didn't let you build this business here so you could take over the shopping center. Your business is closed. As, you know, I'm trying to figure this out, these livery guys are coming into my office. So I'm like, look, you know, I don't know why you waited till the last minute. I can't finish your stuff. So they started getting angry with me. One guy accuses me of not servicing him because he's black. Somebody called the cops. Somebody did this, and it ended up this gigantic scene. This guy that is the head guy of everybody shows up at my office, and he walks up to me, and he's like, respect, respect, respect. And I'm like, respect? I said, look at what's going on. I told him 3 weeks earlier to make an appointment so I can't do 40 guys in one day. Respect, respect. I said, please ask all your guys to leave, and I will do everything, and I will, even if I have to stay up all night, and I'll have them come in the next day one by one, get their ID cards and everything else. He's like, okay. They all leave. So I get them all done. And the next day and the day after, I had them coming in, get their ID cards. There was about, I think, 38 to be exact. Now, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars that I'm making from this. 2 weeks later, I start getting these letters in the mail. Change a broker, change a broker, change a broker, change a broker. What that is that all of these guys decided to go to another broker. So I did all the paperwork, collected all the money, and now they're going to another broker for their stuff. So I'm pissed off. On top of it, here's where Judge Judy comes in. On top of it, one guy that renewed his insurance lied and said that he was doing his livery work upstate New York. They did an investigation. They raised his insurance about 20, 30 grand, and he couldn't afford it. He canceled the insurance. He tries to take me to small claims court, saying that I knew that he lied on his application, and I guaranteed him that he would not have to have an increase or anything like that, which is insane. I'd lose my license if that was the case. So I get back to the guy that did the change of brokers and all this stuff. So anyway, just to finish this up, now one of these livery guys who committed fraud is trying to sue me for $5,000. All these other people, I'm not making all the money because they went to another broker. So I'm losing tens of thousands of dollars. And a guy suing me for $5,000. And all I keep thinking about is this one guy, respect. So I contact him and I said to him, listen, not for nothing. This guy's suing me. He committed fraud. He's suing me. His answer was, why don't you meet in the middle? Give him half. I said, I'm not fucking giving him anything. I didn't do anything wrong. So about 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Judge Judy. Not her personally, but her staff. And they want me to go on television to fight this case. And they said to me, and this is something that some of you may not even know to this day, all of those TV shows, Judge Judy, Joe, whatever, all of those people that sue each other, none of them have to pay. None of them have to pay. When you agree to go on one of these TV shows, no matter what the outcome is, the TV show pays it. So if somebody sues someone for $5,000, $1,000, $600, judgment is for the plaintiff. The defendant doesn't have to pay any money. The court pays it. The show pays it. So Judge Judy's office calls me up and says, we'd like to have your case on TV. And even if you lose, we'll pay for it. I told him, I said, you're fucking crazy. And the person saying to me, like, well, at least think about it. I said, I'm not thinking about it. That's nuts. I'm not doing that. And the person's like, may I ask why you wouldn't even consider it? I said, could you imagine if I go on TV? Here's this Jamaican guy who committed fraud because he's trying to pay as little insurance as possible so he can make as much money as possible to send it to his family, you know, in Jamaica, overseas, who are poor. And if this guy goes in front of a judge and says, you know, I did this for my family, they have no money, and this broker said that it was okay and you wouldn't get in trouble and this and that, no matter what, I look like the worst person in the world. And if they find in favor of him, even though Judge Judy pays for it, every fucking Jamaican livery guy that had insurance with me, you know, we're all going to immediately try to sue me in court to try to get money. I said, you're nuts. I'm not putting myself in that situation because no matter what, I look like, here's this white guy from Howard Beach. I'm going to look like the biggest asshole. And if I lose, yeah, man, let's go after. Yeah, man, let's go to court. Yeah, man, yeah. I would have been sued 1,000 times. Now, here, the good end of the story is that the guy ended up dropping the whole small claims thing and apologized to me. He's like, look, I know, you didn't do anything wrong and I'm sorry. It's just I was desperate. I didn't know what to do. Fine. I'd rather break ties, whether it's customers, friends, relations. I'd rather break ties on good terms, even though if you burn me, you don't get a second chance. That's it. You stab me in the back. That's it. You're on your own. So over the years, some of these guys called me up. Yo, Anthony, you doing the livery again? Can I come in? No, I'm not doing it. In fact, for all of you out there, I will record a video on Monday when I walk into my office. And you'll laugh because when you walk into my office and you sit down, there's this big sign that's been up there for 13 years. As of January 1st, 2008, I don't write anything that's a fucking van. Anything that's a van, I don't write it. And it's for the livery guys. I don't do livery. I don't write nothing. That sign is all decrepit and it's disheveled and it's been taped to my window since 2008. So, yeah, so that's the Judge Judy story. So for all of you out there, maybe you learned something today that any of those lawsuits you see on TV, nobody ever has to pay. Nobody. Even when think about it, even when the defendant says, I don't have the money. I can't pay this person. I don't have, they know in the back of their mind, even if they lose the case, the court pays it. No way was I putting, yeah, it's a van ban. Darren, it's a van ban. That's the truth. Respect. This guy, like, yeah, man, respect. Now, the only reason why I brought up Jamaican, now, let me just clear this up. The only reason why I brought up Jamaican or anything like that is because I wanted people to understand that I know deep down inside, these people had good motives. Like, they were they didn't want to take all the money that they earn and have to put it back towards insurance. I don't condone it. I was not a part of it. And you don't break the law no matter what. You know, you don't shoplift simply because you can't. So their intentions were noble, but fraud is fraud. And you can't do that. So I see some of the things that go on in other countries, very poor countries. And it's heartbreaking. It really is. I mean, you have to be an absolute cold person to not be affected by some of the things that you see, and it's sad. It's dead. One's says, stick to your day job. My hole. Okay, Steve Cutler, somebody asked earlier. Here's the bottom line. And we talked about this before. He wasn't released because of COVID. He wasn't released because of a COVID party. He wasn't released because of any shit like that. That is clickbait. It is nonsense. It is as legit as if those bullshit stories that Casey Catanzaro was on standby for the Royal Rumble. All right? For anybody that's never seen this photo, let me pull it up, because I know I still have it handy. Let me pull it up. Just give me 1 second to find it. I hope I still have it. I think I still have it. Do I still have it? Shit, oh yeah, I do have it. Okay. How many of you out there saw last week news article that Toni Storm was in the Royal Rumble and WWE had Casey Catanzaro on standby for the Royal Rumble, but ended up not using her? You think, yes, Darren, he got it. The Sad Nikki photo. Those people, this is how slick these goofs are on like Ringside News and everything else. See, we all figured it out long time ago. A lot of you out there as well. You figured out how the sausage is made with some of these goofs. There ain't no connections. The only reason why they even made that story and put it online was because of this photo that came out. I'm sorry for removing the chat for a second. All right. Yeah, we'll have a little fun. We'll zoom in on it as well. But this photo came out, all right? Take note that they never mentioned Casey Catanzaro until this photo came out. Now, if you look at this photo, this is everybody that was in the Royal Rumble. You go on the right, you see Lana, Toni Storm, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, Santana Garrett, Dana Brooke, Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley, I think I might have mentioned already, Tori Wilson looking extremely happy, Nia Jax. We got Bianca Belair, Tamina, the Iconics looking cute together once again. You got Jillian Hall. You see where I'm going with this? Everybody that's in the Royal Rumble. Now, two things now. Obviously, Tyson Kidd was not in the Rumble either. But we all looked at this photo simply because there was one woman that was not happy in this photo. I know somebody said, well, maybe something fell and she got spooked. Nobody else got spooked. Nobody. But see Casey Catanzaro? She's the only person other than Tyson Kidd in this photo that was not in the Royal Rumble. So some jackass saw that photo and said, oh, why is Casey Catanzaro in this photo? It doesn't make sense. Oh, she must have been set for the Royal Rumble. And then WWE changed their mind. So exclusive backstage we got from our sources, Casey Victoria was not in the photo. Yes. Right. Victoria was not in the photo. And you know what? Casey probably would have been in there if Victoria wasn't in there. Victoria may have been last minute, or maybe she was late to arrive. And that's why Casey Catanzaro was on standby. But you see, a photo comes out. They look at the photo. There's one person in here that other than Tyson Kidd, that wasn't in the Rumble. I got it. And that's how they do it. There's no sources, everyone. And the Steve Cutler thing, take note that once he got released, and he said he was surprised by it, and then all the stuff, people started becoming aware of the New Year's Eve party, and then the birthday party, I think for Casey Cannizzaro, might have been for her, and Steve Cutler was there, and Deonna Purrazzo was there, and now someone says, oh, he caught COVID in January. You know where they got that from? Deonna Purrazzo posted a tweet that said, Steve and I had COVID in January. We had no symptoms, but we're fine. That tweet was posted before this story came out. Now they look at January, they look at the 2 weeks of quarantine, and they look at the date he was released. And somebody tries to play, let's connect the dots, and said he was released because of COVID. He caught COVID. He was at this party. That's all it is. That's all it is. I will never forget, and I think it was Ringside News also. It might have been someone else. Maybe if it was, you let me know so we could give credit to the place, and that's sarcastic. I'll never forget, a website reported that AJ Styles signed his contract with WWE, renewed his contract. Breaking news, exclusive. I remember the name, exclusive. AJ Styles re-signs with WWE. AJ Styles contacted that website personally and told them, listen, I don't know who you got your information from, but I am telling you firsthand that I did not re-sign with WWE yet. Do you know what that website did? Now here's AJ Styles himself telling them directly, I didn't sign yet. You know what that website says? We stick with our sources. Not take AJ Styles as your source, but we stand by our sources. Whoever that was, honestly, they will never reveal themselves individually. I know that there's like this Steve Carrier and stuff like that. He's not the goof to take responsibility. If you notice, he's a very intelligent person. He knows not to put his name behind some of these things because it's rolling the dice. Maybe we'll get it right. Maybe we'll not. Look at those websites. Dakota Kai, 3 times now that websites reported Dakota Kai, she wrestled her last match in NXT. She's main roster bound. Say that long enough and it'll happen. Anthony Diaz. My predictions in 2008 were right. I said the pussification of America would be happening. Yes. I mean, anybody that goes back with me remembers that phrase. 13 years ago, I basically saw coming what's happening today. It's terrible. It's terrible. I see this impeachment stuff. Oh, and by the way, here is the hints for today's contest. The only other thing that is written on here is the ratings from yesterday. And I am shocked. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. AEW yesterday only did 741,000 viewers. NXT only did 558,000. What's the first thing you saw all of these morons that always have to make an excuse for poor ratings? Oh, people weren't watching wrestling last night because of the impeachment hearings. First of all, dingbats. The impeachment hearing, it was just the opening arguments yesterday, all right, and the day before, and it ended in the afternoon. And you're actually going to say that the rating, remember a month ago with the inauguration, the ratings were pathetic? And they blamed it on the inauguration. No, they blamed it on the riots. They blamed it on the insurrection. That all the coverage of the insurrection is why AEW's rating was so poor. The following week, where there was no riots, there was no storming the Capitol, the rating only went up 5,000 viewers. 5,000. That's it. 5,000. NXT's rating was higher during the insurrection that night than the following week. Explain it. These morons, I'm serious, man. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but all of these Twitter accounts, all of these podcasters, all of these journalists, all of these bloggers, all of these, whatever you want to call them, that make excuses every time a rating sucks, they are the ones that are going to put the last knife in the heart of some of what you see on television. They're not going to put AEW out of business. It's not dire like that. I don't want anybody to think that at all. But these people are the ones tremendously hurting AEW. And guess what? Guess what? Tony Khan, I don't know him personally. I hear nothing but wonderful things about the man. But when you hear about the backstage, the locker room, how everything is run, I brought this up before. A lot of people say that AEW at times, it seems like they don't have the heart to insult someone up and coming that they suck, just to say it bluntly. That they don't have the heart to say to someone, oh, look, you know, that's why the matches on Dark that are almost, what was that match? Jenna Maraska and Sharmell? Not on that level, but close. This is pre-recorded Dark. And you get a match that is competing with Sharmell and Jenna Maraska, and you let it play anyway. People tell me that the people who matter behind the scenes in AEW don't have the heart many times to tell some people what they need to hear. We're in the pussification of America, and that trickles down in all different businesses. A couple of years ago, hot chocolate, crayons, chalk to draw in the fucking... So just think about it. College students needing chalk to draw on sidewalks. Don't think that because it's wrestling or this or karate or a restaurant or an office or a gas station or a Target that people don't do the same thing. It's done in different ways. All of these people out there that get the tweet hand jobs from people that work in AEW, wrestle in AEW, work for other promotions, these people are the ones that are hurting the companies more than anything else, because nobody has the balls to stand up and say, Bischoff is probably the only person out there that is really, really nailing it with all of his analysis. That AEW seems to have peaked between 700,000 and 800,000 viewers. And other than a massive, hyped, big-time special event on TV, or unfortunately the tragedy of Brody Lee, like there's some exceptions to the rule. But it's pretty much, you know, hit a wall. And this happened before COVID. It happened for a couple of months before COVID. So all of these places out there don't see Vince McMahon, NXT, WWE, and all that. They're shielded. They're shielded. Especially Vince, through all those years. They have yes men. They have people that there's a bubble. There's a bubble. You know, WWE uses social media to advance its business and everything else. And they see the criticism. But usually there's always an excuse behind it. And I've said before, I believe Nick Khan when he says that he doesn't think that WWE's ratings have dropped as much as people say it has. That people have decided to go to YouTube and go here, go there. Now, I know some of you are saying to me, DT, are you nuts? You agree with this guy? Well, it's a publicly traded company. You're not going to BS something like that, because if it's proven otherwise, you could be, you know, charged with some severe fraud there. But here's the thing, though. This is why it's not as good as it sounds. WWE got $1 billion deal with Fox. They didn't get $1 billion deal. Oh, excuse me. Well, Fox and Peacock. They didn't get $1 billion deal with Twitch. They didn't get $1 billion deal with TikTok. They didn't get $1 billion deal with YouTube. They make crazy ass money from ads and everything else. My point is that, yes, I believe that there is a big chunk of fans that now watch WWE programming in other streaming sources. Here's the problem with that. TV commercials, prime time, initial airing, live, that's where your biggest money is made. And fans, and this is what I've been saying for years, wrestling is no longer must-see television. You will see clips of AEW on YouTube that have a bigger rating, more viewers than the quarter hour that particular segment happened in. When wrestling is no longer must-see television, I'll wait a couple of days, I'll watch it on Hulu. I'll wait till 2 days later and I'll watch the clip on YouTube. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. And all of these people out there that make excuses, like I said, we're in the pussification of America. In a lot of other countries as well. Not everybody's been pussified, but we are in the pussification of America. People only, and look, you know me. People have said, DT, you've become soft. DT, you've become too politically correct. DT, this is all a fraud of what you're doing. You're just doing that to try to get money and this and that. You don't believe this stuff. I can't lie to this extent. I throw it out there. It's the truth. And some people can't handle it or don't like it. They're triggered. Me, I have evolved in a lot of ways. But one thing that I will always say from day one is I will tell you how I feel and my opinions. And there are people out there, you could go on Twitter. There's some people I follow that you turn on TV. You turn on their page, turn on TV. You turn on their page. Oh, I just cut my finger. Oh, my God. Oh, it's so sweet. Oh, this is the most epic paper cut I ever had. Every single thing about them is epic and beautiful and tears of joy and this and that. And that's fine. If that's what makes you happy, that's good. In business, though, that could be a major problem. And I'm starting to feel that Tony Khan, Vince always was surrounded by yes men. I don't know if Tony Khan wants the negative criticism like that wants the brutal, honest stuff. Because Jericho early on, Jericho said in some of his podcasts, addressing the referees, addressing how, some tag teams, they don't, do anything with rules and you can't do this, you can't do that. When anything goes, that was the funny thing about the main event on AEW was, anything goes. In a lot of matches, anything goes anyway. Definition of anything goes is you could fight in the back also, so the thing is though, is I don't think some of these people want to be told the brutal honesty. And hey, that's their business and that's their right. See, that's the thing about doing your own thing. If you want to surround yourself, I'll tell you 11-17 a minute Cruiserweight. If people that run a business, do a podcast, live their life, if they want to surround themselves where everything is a beautiful sunny day, where everything is cake and ice cream, where everything is just wonderful, that's their right. If that's what they want to do, they have every right to do that. And Tony Khan and AEW, if that's how they want to run things, that is their right. It'll be interesting if there becomes problems. TNT has a great relationship with AEW despite the management changes. But there could be some point that TNT may no longer want AEW on their networks. And if AEW starts having problems trying to find homes and things start going downhill, you might start seeing a carbon copy of what happened with TNA before Anthem picked them up. you will little by little have people who will leave the company, and then in drips and drabs and interviews, be very soft about it, but kind of like allude to some of the things going on. Look at AJ Styles. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of AJ Styles now. AJ Styles proved me wrong on everything he's done in WWE, and I absolutely respect that man for all the hard work he does. Did anybody out there ever think that AJ Styles would ever come public and say that Dixie Carter pretty much... Now, I know a lot of you would say, yeah, no, Dixie Carter was the biggest problem in TNA. But did you ever think it would come out of the lips of AJ Styles? Basically saying, like, if Dixie just let the boys do what they do, we might still be doing what we're doing now. I don't think anybody out there that really followed TNA and AJ Styles and the relationship with Dixie, I don't think anybody out there ever in a million years ever thought that would come out of AJ's mouth. And I'm telling you, I truly believe, it's just opinion, I truly believe to this day, Dixie Carter, deep down inside, is very hurt by not what some of the wrestlers have said about her, because everybody's been professional about it. But I think deep down inside, she is very hurt because she realizes now that it was just business. Like when Hulk Hogan came in, that relationship with him and Dixie, I'm not saying anything happened, intimately. I'm not saying that at all. But, when Hulk with those interviews, if I can't turn this around, brother, how many times did he do that? He did that, and you remember I covered it once. He did that 3 years in a row. Every year he said it at least once, brother, if I can't turn this around, brother, I will pack my bags and I will go home. Google it. I think Dixie Carter thought that Hulk Hogan was in TNA not just for the payday, but because he truly cared about the progression of TNA and the growth and really wanted to be a huge competitor to WWE. And after everything was said and done, a lot of people have said Dixie Carter feels like she was played by Hogan. I don't think so. It's business. It's business. So 11:17. There was a gentleman yesterday that had a name. In fact, I don't want to just call him gentleman. He super chatted, and I know some people out there try to be slick about it. Oh, if I super chat DT, he'll say anything I want him to say. No, those people that super chat help these channels grow. Helps me be able to go out and get different software. Helps me to go out and get some services because no one out there wants to help me with anything other than Mish. I know some of you do want help as well, but not the type of help that I really could use. Scorpio 1117. He super chatted me yesterday, and when I saw the name, I'm like, motherfucker, 1117. I wish I had my cell phone in here. I would call my fiance right now and let her tell you the story. I don't like 1117. Sam, you want to be a mod? He wants to be a mod. He wants to be a mod. Sam, you are now a mod. See how fast that is, Sam? You are now a mod. Do not be banning anyone, blocking anyone, unless you talk to me first, please. I'm not trying to be like a boss or anything like that, but I want people to be able to speak their mind, even if there is some criticism, But we'll have Sam be a mod for tonight. But you see in this chat, everybody gets along, man, for the most part. So Sam, complexity, silly question. But just because it's a story about the Mavericks and the national anthem and correlating it to 9/11 and a SmackDown episode. I know. You're talking about the owner of the Mavs, Mark Cuban. I personally think the national anthem should be played before every sporting event because of our country. All right. People out there want to read between lines, dissect it. There's every country, there's every, state, town that has negative history. I feel the best way to deal with negative history is to learn by it. I don't think you need to have statues all over the place. That's something I've changed about. If there's a lot of statues and some very bad people back then, even if that was the sign of the time. See, slavery, I can't relate. But I've always looked at it as far as slavery is when they say, oh, Abraham Lincoln had a slave or George Washington. If at that time, I'm not justifying it, but my point is at that time, if it was considered normal to have a slave, those people at that time did not think they were doing anything wrong. So you really have to separate who abused and neglected and was inhumane and who thought that they were just doing what everybody else does. There's no excuse for it. My point is, a lot of the people on the statues changing names of schools, I mean, you're going to change names like Abraham Lincoln. My whole point of it is, where do you stop? Where do you stop? I personally feel, and I brought this up with some examples in the past. I'm trying to think of a really good one. Harriet Tubman, all right, if you want to use her as an example. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, another one. If you erase all of the hate that went on back at that time, then you have no superheroes. If all of the bad guys are erased from history, then how do you explain someone who is a true hero? You take away all the bad people and nobody knows about the bad people, then what was so special about this person? Why is this person heralded for what they did? Now you have to explain it. And that's the problem with that. You have to, Darren, if that's how you feel, that's fine. I disagree with you. But Rosa Parks, another one. If you erase all the history that was going on at that time, then what makes what Rosa Parks did so much of a big deal? You see where I'm going with this? Statues of some really bad people, get rid of them. If it's borderline or if it's questionable, then put it in a museum. But I don't think people want to drive by and see some piece of shit scumbag from the 1600s that you look at it and you see nothing but evil about that. That I understand, but you cannot erase history. And I think as far as the national anthem goes, before sporting events or before anything, you're going to find something bad in everything with history. What you want to do is you want to look at that and you want to do good things to make that theme even more proud. You understand what I'm saying? When that theme plays, you should be doing good things in your neighborhood. So when people are together, they think about that. They don't think about the shit that happened in the 60s and the 70s and the 50s or 5 months ago, or, you got to do good. If people don't do good, you're going to keep remembering all that negative shit. So I just feel, it's a really touchy situation and there is no perfect answer behind it. But if a national anthem is played and you don't want to stand up for it, you want to kneel, you don't want to acknowledge it, that is your right. That is your right. And that's how I feel about it. So anyway, getting back to the 11-17 story. Devin is blown away. This is just me being myself. So that's what Thursday, I'm not saying that the other nights I'm not myself. We're in wrestling mode, so we're taught. But here is where, we are a little more personal and we could talk about everyday stuff that we all talk about, And over here, we can get a little bit different. And I have changed in a lot of ways over the years. I can't explain why I've changed in some views. I've listened to a lot of people. I don't do it for attention, and I don't tell it unless somebody wants to hear it. So anyway, so we put the 11-17 aside for a few moments because of that was pretty important topic. All right. I met my fiance in October of 2012. I actually met her in September of 2012, but we didn't start dating until October of 2012. And one time early on, I was over her house. Her parents were out. It was just us two. And I had not had any intimate kiss with her yet or anything like that. Like we've had like kiss on the cheek. I think I might have like dated her like 2 times before, like went on 2 dates with her. And I was in her house, and it was time for me to go home because I had to get up for work early the next day. And I went to give her a kiss on the lips goodbye. I wasn't looking to slip the tongue. I wasn't looking to make out with her, but I was going to give her a kiss on the lips goodbye. And when I went to kiss her on the lips, she did this. She put her cheek in my face. And when I did this and looked the other way, her DVD player had 11-17 on the screen. To this freaking day, when we're together and she happens to be looking at the clock, I get trolled still to this day. Honey, look what time it is. Sometimes she'll text me, happy 11-17. That is the truth. The first time I ever tried to give my fiance a kiss on the lips, she turned, gave me her cheek instead. And when I turned with her to give her the kiss on the cheek, I looked over and it was 11-17. True story. Maybe one day in the future, I'll keep my cell phone in here and I'll put her on speaker and let her tell you the story. That's the truth. Devin loves the conversation. That's what I wanted Thursdays to be. Mondays is raw, weekend stuff, pretty much it. Wednesdays is AEW, NXT, maybe a little Impact Wrestling mixed in, maybe a little MLW if needed, NWA. Fridays is SmackDown, ratings, pay-per-view, previews, predictions, which will be tomorrow. And then if we do something on the weekend as well. So everything is a little different. I wanted to have at least one show that basically you could talk about whatever. Because, look, one thing I think we all have in common, we're all wrestling fans. I do get once in a while somebody who will post in the comment section, I don't watch wrestling anymore, I just enjoy your shows. And that's awesome. That is freaking awesome. And by the way, we'll do the contest very, very soon. But the thing is that, we watch wrestling, we watch podcasts, we listen to podcasts, we check out video games and this and that, and we do all of that to get our minds off of the bullshit going on in this world. Whether it's COVID, whether it's, racial issues, whether it's social justice, whether it's income inequality, whether it's unemployment, whether it's relationship issues, whatever it is, we all like, for the most part, to go to the same mediums to, get our mind off of that stuff. When Undertaker talked about how he missed the locker rooms and everything like that, and he sees everybody playing video games today, I think a lot of people are starting to understand now that he's not trying to disrespect the people of today. It's just he feels out of place, and he prefers the old school, and I think that's expected. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you had wrestlers, that were dominant in the 60s and the 70s that preferred, before we had sports entertainment. They loved this, segregating of the locker rooms, and I don't mean black and white, I mean heel and baby face. They loved, the fact that there was no social media and that it wasn't, made public and admitted that it was predetermined. Every generation has a different style about what they do. The 60s and the 70s is much different than the 80s and the 90s, is much different of the 2000s and much different from the 10s and the 20s. That's what it is. Once a month, there's no reason for you to mod on Facebook. There's only a handful of people tuning in, and everybody is hanging out. And I can control that. So I appreciate, and also to be honest with you, I don't know you. I don't know you. I'm not saying that you'll sabotage, because I do have almighty powers in the end. So if I spot like even an inch of attempted sabotage, you know, you wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, if anybody tried. Look, I think what we'll do is we'll do mod for a night from now on. We'll rotate. Sam will be for tonight. Maybe we'll have Darren next time. We'll do Austin down the line, Ken, you know, SoFly, whoever. We'll do it off and on. Dillon, do I play video games? Yes, I do. But I am very, very boring. I don't play like these Minecrafts and all that stuff. And the reason why I don't play that is because the games look awesome. Some of these games that you see all of these people playing on Twitch, whether it's wrestlers or podcasters or some of you out there, some of those games look freaking phenomenal. And my problem is, because of my full-time working in the office, because of all the amount of time that I spend not only doing the shows, but trying to improve the video, the look. You see some little custom intros. Oh, and by the way, yes, everyone out there, if you haven't done this already, please subscribe. Hit that like button. Come on. I see only about 25% of you out there that have hit that like button. If you are enjoying the show, that'd be pretty awesome if you kind of hit that blue like button. See, like little things like this, you know, can't just shit it out. You know, I have people helping me. I work on it myself. I play around with things. So there's so much time that is absorbed now with this stuff with my family, trying to set up my future. I want to get married in the next year. So I know if I start playing some of those games, I won't stop, because I know my history, even for Grand Theft Auto, even from Atari, Nintendo, ColecoVision, PlayStation. I would play for hours and hours and hours nonstop. So it's not easy. So I try to avoid a lot of those games. So me, when I play video games, I go arcade style. I like playing the old school stuff still. You know, I put that video on Twitter not too long ago of me just kicking ass in Miss Pac-Man. I like playing a lot of the retro arcade. I have an arcade game inside. It's about this big, and it has like 30 games installed, but it's a regular cabinet. The joystick is freaking awesome. The fire buttons are beautiful, on point. So I play that. I'm a fanatic now playing Uno. In fact, here's a little invite to every one of you out there. I know not everybody plays Uno, but I guarantee you some of you do. If you play Uno through Steam, let me know your screen name, because I play Uno every day. Even if I just play for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, kick a couple of people's asses and then call it a day, I play it every day. So if you play Uno on Steam, let me know your screen name. I'll send you an invite, a friend invite, and we'll team up and kick the shit out of people out there. The funny thing is, I don't know if Evil Uno plays Uno. I know Uno, but I brought this up once before. About a month ago, I was playing Uno, and when you play on Steam, it'll sometimes randomly insert you in a game. Somebody gets fed up, quits early, so there's a robot playing, and you'll fill in for the robot. I started playing about a month ago, and I looked to the left at the opponents, and it said Evil Uno. And it showed Evil Uno's head, his face, and everything. Sure, it could have just been a person calling themselves Evil Uno as a play on the name Uno. But it really felt, I mean, it looked, if you would have saw it, it looked like it actually was his profile. So, yeah, so I'm serious. If, Sam, you could have your wife team with me. I know that was intended not to sound all that great. But, no, seriously, if any of you out there play and, you want to team up and, or if you want to play against me and try to kick my ass, you think you could dethrone yours truly? Bring it. Bring it. I like solitaire, James, as well, but I get very bored of it very, very quickly. Chris Farrer saying I should play virtual blackjack. I got to get one of those VR things. I guess it's like a head thing. You remember those? For the older folk out there like me, they're going to make me feel very old. What was that thing that we had when we were young that you would push the lever and it would advance the disc? Was it a Viewmaster? Is that what it was? Any of you out there, if you've never seen a Viewmaster, I don't think Danny Morgan is racist, James O'Kesh. I don't believe so. I've actually exchanged some comments on the channel. I don't know why you feel that way. Oh, Danny says thoughts on Jim Cornette being racist when all he was doing was talking about a type of wrestling he didn't like. Viewfinder. I'm multitasking right now. We're talking Viewfinders, Cornette, and racism at the same time. Viewmaster. Viewfinder is what you would just look at in any camera. Viewmaster. If any of you out there never saw what a Viewmaster is, do a little YouTube search. You'll get a kick out of it. It was like the greatest thing for us. It was a round disc. It looked like the size of a coaster for a drink, like a round coaster. That was about the size. And there would be little tiny boxes, about 20 of them. And I remember my mom getting me like Disney stuff, and you would look inside it, and I guess there was a light, and you would push the button down, and it would advance the frame once. And you look inside, and it looked 3D, and it looked freaking awesome. It looked freaking awesome. Go on YouTube, and you'll see. This is what we were brought up with. Yeah, we're old, man. We're freaking old. And you want to know something, Michael? I'm not kidding when I say this. I truly believe this is the first time I brought up Viewmaster since I was a kid. I'm trying to think, why would I have ever brought this up before? When are we going to bring it up to? The Minority Report when we did it? DTKC? Breakfast Soup? Why would I have? I honestly don't think I've ever thought about a Viewmaster since I was younger than 10 years old. It's pretty weird, man. Yes, they had nude women. I never got the nude women ones. But for all of you out there that don't know what a Viewmaster is, go check it out on YouTube. You'll be pretty amazed. You'll get a kick out of it too. SoFly, you're 31, you feel 50? It's got to be the opposite, man. For me, it's the opposite. I'm pretty much 50, and I feel like I'm 35. I actually feel pretty good right now. I mean, I got issues here and there. I'm suffering from some severe, like, insomnia and stress and everything, but this is where we release the stress for a little while. So anyway, let me answer Cornette. I don't like Cornette. I mean, I like him, but I was never a huge fan of Cornette. But I also believe that a lot of what Cornette does, he's playing the game. A lot of what he says is playing the game. People will know what I mean by that. He's very old school as well. And a lot of what he sees today, he does not like, and he will criticize it. Now, when that whole controversy happened with NWA, when he was talking about Trevor Murdoch, and he talked about, he's tougher, like if he drove around Ethiopia with a bucket of chicken on the bike or motorcycle, whatever it is. At that time, if anybody, and by the way, the DTKC episodes that are up for 2020, get them soon because they're going to be taken down for a little while I search for a new server. But I remember covering it, and I found 5 different examples where Cornette said that in the past. Doesn't justify it. My point is that when Cornette was doing commentary, and you want to throw out one-liners to describe someone, whether you want to make fun of them, whether you want to praise them, whether you want to enhance their toughness, you spur of the moment think of things you said in the past. You know, if there's a big crazy shit going on in a match, you'll probably, I don't know if Jim Ross, I don't think he would get in trouble with any trademarks, but Jim Ross might just blurb out, you know, it's a slobber knocker. You know, you go back, and I don't think Jim Cornette intended to be racist in any way. Jim Cornette used an outdated, old, and totally unnecessary phrase. Point blank. Ethiopia back in the 80s had a huge famine problem. And if you look at MJF today, how much he goes over the top with his wise ass shit that he says to people online, all right? Some of it people just find it's just outrageous. Jim Cornette back in the 80s would be very outrageous as well, as were many others. And people would make comments like that about Ethiopia. There's nothing funny or joking about, you know, millions of people starving and dying from it, but it was a reference that he said back then that is totally unnecessary to say in 2021. I don't think his intentions were racial in any way, shape, or form, but it was distasteful. And as I brought up before, you know, he wasn't the only person that should have been, you know, reprimanded for that. It passed all of NWA's management, and it made to video. So people heard it, and, oh, that's old school Cornette. They didn't think anything was wrong with it, and they let it go through. So Cornette, I truly don't believe Jim Cornette is racist at all. I don't know him personally. I don't know what's in his heart. I believe that some of the things he says simply because wrestling is entertainment and he's playing the game. I think some people that he criticizes, you know, he'll just criticize no matter what, even if that person has improved. So Jim Cornette is very unique, but it's funny how people fall for everything that he says. Like, he'll make a remark about someone and they'll treat it like he's shooting. It's gospel. He's shooting. No, he's a fucking entertainer. He's a manager. He's a personality. He's part of wrestling. That was always choreographed and predetermined, and it was a form of entertainment. It was an art form. What he does is an art form. And when people fall for, like somebody, an actual podcaster, actually tweeted today that, you know, I don't understand it. Sammy Guevara, you know, gets mad at MJF for recording him. You know, remember the segment yesterday on Dynamite? But Sammy Guevara told the cameraman to stay. So wouldn't Jericho have seen the footage anyway? Because we're not supposed, this is entertainment. And the guy is treating it like it's real. And he's like, Jericho should have seen this anyway. So Jericho responded. He's like, yeah, I saw it. You know, but it's like, come on, it's suspension of disbelief. When somebody gets run over, you know, or hit by a car, or somebody attacks somebody in the back, you don't ever see the storyline where the cameraman is questioned. How many times in the Attitude Era you would see, like, Steve Austin get run over by Ricky, I did it for The Rock, and all this other stuff. You don't remember the storyline where the cameraman was grilled, what did you see, and this and that? When the Hummer, with all of these crazy things that would happen, there was always a cameraman there documenting it. You know, people say, how come the cameraman, how come they're not questioning the cameraman? Because you're supposed to suspension of disbelief think that you're actually watching it and there's not a real person there. When someone is getting killed in a horror film, there is a cameraman there. The game of Clue, when they made it into a movie and somebody gets murdered, you'd have anybody say, how come the cameraman didn't, they should have just asked the cameraman, and the cameraman knows who did it. Shut up. Man. Yeah, I think Sam's a mod. I think I made him a mod. I just right-clicked it and selected mod. Anyway. One Zimmer, no Topo Chico today. I drank them all. They're all gone. Right now, I'm just having a regular core water. A little bit boring, but it's all good. Where's the mod? I don't know. I thought I made Sam a mod. Everybody in audio only right now is like, we don't care about mods. So, anyway, what else you guys want to talk about? Big Armada says, see in that segment, WWE had the wherewithal to use a car with tinted windows so you couldn't see who actually ran over Austin. Yeah, absolutely. But every attack in the back, I mean, when there's a cameraman there while something happens, you don't like turn the camera on the cameraman. What did you see? You're just supposed to be, it's supposed to be like they're your eyes. That cameraman yesterday in the AEW segment with MJF and Guevara, that cameraman was our eyes. And to see someone, a grown person, writing that on social media is kind of laughable, to be honest with you. But, because I'm saying like a podcaster, like if it's a regular casual fan, well, that's what you want fans to do. But okay, so now we do have to test it out and get rid of somebody. All right. Let's see. There you go. Bye-bye. I think he's gone. Oh, he's not gone yet. Just bear with me for a second, everybody. Yeah, now he should be gone. Yeah, I got rid of him. Sam, you're not doing your job, my friend. Not doing your job. Yeah, not doing your job. You failed. You absolutely failed. You failed. All right, let's answer a couple other super chats. Shout out to Scorpio. My friend. Got a kick out. That story was 100% legit about 11/17. 100% legit. No joke. But please do not change your name because we look back on it and we chuckle. I'm not angry. I don't get Kane. What was Kane? May 19th? I think it was May 19th. Yeah, we don't get Kane. Yeah, Chris, you want to know something? There are some people that just show up on live streams and will troll that may not even follow the show. I mean, we know we got a couple of people that, do it out of bitterness because of changes that they didn't want to see happen. And, Sam failed. Hey, you're fired, Sam. Yeah, fired. Yeah, that's why, I try to really follow the chat as much as possible in the future. Even now, because you got to jerk off like that. Yeah, Sam, it's all right. Someone like that, you just click on their name and you just write removed. Someone like that, I don't think you need to explain it. Dillon List, is there a plan to have my own Patreon, not a joint? How do I answer this without being controversial? All right. I'm going to answer it like this. Everybody has a Patreon now. I have friends that are, trying to start out doing podcasts and stuff like that. And they're just launching for the first time, becoming a podcaster. And it's no longer, let me do it free for a couple of years and then build up an audience and then maybe try to get a little off of it. A lot of people that don't know this, and I'll be quick about this, I started my wrestling hotline in 1997. From 1997 to about 3.5 years ago, every penny for every expense to do the shows, the website, the hosting, the equipment, the streaming, the bandwidth, the everything, I paid out of my own pocket. When I have said that between Mish and myself, the amount of money that we paid throughout our years, we could have bought brand new BMWs with the amount of money that we paid. So the reason why we did that is because we loved doing what we did. We wanted to put it all out there. You had people that would start a show and go on Blog Talk Radio, which is not an extremely bad place to start off, but the audio quality was kind of crappy. You know, but when you get something for free, you got to expect less than good quality stuff. You can't do it on the cheap. And my point with the Patreon stuff is now these days, you have people who have never podcasted before or never built up a fan base or a show, and they'll debut on Patreon. Everybody has got a Patreon now. And the problem is, and I say this respectfully, the problem is that where do you stop? You got the WWE Network, that's $10, $5, whatever it's going to be on, the Peacock. But, you stream on this one, it's $5. You stream on this one, it's $10. You stream on this one, it's $3. You stream on this. I mean, not everybody can drop $20, $30, $40, $50 a month to just check out shows. So because there's so many patrons out there now, people have to pick and choose who they want to follow. And what'll happen is you'll get a bunch of people that'll be on our page, and then they'll leave for a few months and go on another one, then they'll leave a few months and go on another one, and they try to spread it out. And the thing is that Patreon, because there's so many, it's not really as cost effective as it was before. In fact, we've lost a crazy amount of people for various reasons. Some people left because they have to have every week DTKC or nothing. They will not accept anything but that. And that's fine. If that's how they feel, that's all good. The reason why the Patreon channel is still going is because I feel, and let me also on a technical side explain this. I have a corporation, DTD, Don Tony de Blasi, DTD Entertainment LLC. Does not pretend. Does not play and pretend. I have a corporation. The corporation is who is linked with Patreon. The corporation is who's linked with YouTube and everything else. Because I got to pay taxes and I got to file things every year. It's not individual. So because it's under the corporation name, any money that is paid out to anybody, I have to send W-2s, W-9s, whatever I got to send. So the thing is, with Patreon, I feel right now that there's a little something for everybody. There are people out there that don't like me at all, that like Kevin Castle. Okay, they got a show every week for him. They don't like Kevin Castle, but they like me. All the shows that I do on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and pay-per-views, Patreon has ad-free episodes. Now, for everybody here on video, I discontinued commercials during the shows. You might see one at the beginning of the show, and you might see one at the very end of a show, but you'll never get commercials during the shows. I stopped that a month ago over here. You'll never get those commercials again. So there's ad-free stuff for them as well. I do once a month a solo Q&A. It's all, just question and answer interactive. I also do on Tuesdays Breakfast Soup VIP, which is really a totally different show than what we do on Monday. My point is, there's a little bit for everybody there. We have a pay-per-view contest we do once a month. And even with that, think about that. You have every week 2 Patreon exclusive shows. So that's 8 a month, not including whatever I do on Sundays. You got ad-free episodes and contests and other things going on, and still that's not enough for people. My point is, there's so much stuff going on Patreon that I don't even know if this Patreon channel will exist a year from now. I don't know if it'll exist 6 months from now. I'm not looking to shut it down. But my point is that Patreon isn't what it used to be. So, we keep it going to offer something different to everybody, But as far as have I looked into doing a Patreon for myself, yeah, I have. But honestly, I don't see any reason to change anything right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, when everything went down the way it did last fall, I was, making some drastic changes, but I didn't want to screw over anybody who, has basically stood by everybody's side for the last couple of years. So I personally think we got a nice balance right now. Our YouTube family is different from our Patreon family. There are quite a few people who enjoy both. I'm trying to keep both separate identities. I don't want anybody to feel, that's why we do things different on YouTube than we do on Patreon. But down the line, ultimately everything would be under my name because of the business. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's not being nasty, but, without being controversial, I got audited from the IRS a year and a half ago. I got audited. What happened was, without getting into a long story, and you know what? I'm telling you this story because I know some of you out there have podcasts. Some of you have patrons. Some of you might be getting some revenue on YouTube. So learn from my mistake. When we first launched the Patreon, nobody wanted to be on the books. Nobody wanted to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes either. So because there's not a lot of money made over there, I said, all right, look, I'll put it under my business name and I'll give everybody, whatever, you divvy it up, you expense and all that, and whatever's left over, if there's anything left over, we'll divvy it up. And, I'll take, a couple of dollars for taxes put aside. And then at the end of the year, that money we put aside to taxes, we pay it. Easy enough. This way, everybody that's involved who is getting any type of revenue at all, they got it, I don't want to say under the table, but they don't want to pay taxes. Point blank. Here's what happened to yours truly, which some of you out there may actually enjoy this. I get a letter in the mail from the IRS that I owe them $5,000 plus interest. I call the IRS up. I sit on hold for an hour. Yeah, Darren, that's the problem when you do business these days. Everybody wants to, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm just saying as a whole, everybody wants to reap rewards without taking some type of responsibility. You see people out there that unless, other people are doing everything for them, they don't do anything. You have people out there that don't want their name on anything. That wants, there's a saying that I've always lived by, if you play, you must pay. That's a saying that I've been dealing with since school, when I went to school. I don't remember who told me it. I don't remember if it was a teacher, but somebody said to me, if you play, you must pay. And if you're going to play, you have to pay. Plain and simple. In fact, you know what? It might have even been a stupid candy store. You want to play the video game? You must pay. You must pay. I used to go to this video game place called Pipe and Paper. It was like a cigar store and a video game thing. Hey, ho, ho, Hydro has got to go. What did Hydro do? I don't see any Hydro over here. Smoking Hydro is good. Oh, he's just got to go to sleep. Hydro smokes and he's got to go to sleep. So anyway, check it out. Yeah, Lee knows where this story's going. So, yeah, breaking news. Some people didn't want to pay taxes. Some people didn't want this stuff on the books. So I tried to go along with that until I got a thing in the mail that I owe $5,000 to the IRS. And I was scared shit for one reason, because the letter I got with the bill was just for 1 year. The setup I was doing, I did for 3 years. And I said to myself, oh my God, you mean to tell me that not only 2017, you mean to tell me that I'm going to get this for 2018 and 19? I'm going to get hit with $15,000 here. I don't have that kind of money. So what I did, I took the IRS letter, I screenshotted it, and I sent it to everybody who was getting revenue on my channel, on the Patreon. And I said, I just got audited from the IRS. And guess what? Nobody gave a shit. And that was my smack in the face that I'm doing every fucking thing by the book from now on. And if people don't want to pay taxes, they don't have to pay taxes. But I am sending W-9s, W-2s, and too bad. So how did this get resolved? And why did this happen? I'll tell you why it happened. I have an S corporation. I'm not going to explain today what an S corporation is, but basically whatever money that's made in an S corporation, it passes through the corporation to me personally. My office is an S corporation. So all the money that's made in my office passes through the corporation to me. So whatever money is left over, it's income for me. So what happened was, in my office, I was this close, right below the next tax bracket. So when I took, who was on our Patreon, when I was giving them money without putting tax papers for them, I had to claim the income as mine. I put a little bit of tax aside to take care of that. The problem is, when you added their money that they got to the money from my office, it put me in a totally different tax bracket. So instead of collecting 38 or 41% of taxes from them, I was only collecting 16%. Do you think anybody out there was willing to give me that $1,000 or $2,000 that they shouldn't have gotten because it put me in a different tax bracket? No, nobody, and I don't blame anybody. So the bottom line is, I got in a different tax bracket, and I ended up negotiating with the IRS, and I ended up having to pay them $5,000 total for the 3 years combined. And I'm on a payment plan. I think I have maybe, they billed me, I think, $270 a month for about 20 months or something like that. So I still have a couple of months left. But yeah, Lee, just think about that. There's people out there, if they make $100, they don't understand that a third of it needs to be taken away. You know, so once that happened and I got audited, I was like, no more, no more. So now everybody gets a W-9, and I report that shit to IRS. So here's a piece of advice for anybody out there that has a podcast, thinking about doing a podcast, and you get any revenue whatsoever. Be prepared to pay the taxes. And I'm going to explain something. And I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I swear on a stack of Bibles, this is very important for every single one of you that lives in the United States to know. Even though you may not like Trump, what has happened with the IRS the last bunch of years is that they have become more automated and computerized. So you can't get away with this shit anymore. This is why I'm worried about the future of Patreon. There are thousands of Patreon people out there that have their own Patreon pages that are not paying taxes. So here's how this works. let's say you make $5,000 from Patreon, or you make $5,000 from YouTube. What happens is YouTube sends you in the mail a W-9, whatever it is, and it says, you made $5,000 from us this year. YouTube then tells the IRS, we paid Don Tony $5,000 for 2020. So now IRS has an entry in their computer that says, YouTube paid me that money. Now they're looking for the entry that matches up. So if I tell IRS, I only made $1,000 from YouTube, may not happen for a year, may not happen until 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. Sooner or later, I'm going to get a letter in the mail that says, you told us that YouTube only paid you $1,000, but we got this entry from YouTube saying that they paid you $5,000. You can't get away with it anymore. You cannot get away with it anymore. And again, it took them 3 years to send me a bill for $5,000. So honestly, if I end up riding solo as far as a Patreon goes, or doing something jointly with Mish, there's only going to be 2 reasons behind it. One, because an incident happens, or something business tax-wise, something like that, and things have to change. Honestly, I don't see that happening at all. There's no issues right now with that. But people don't understand. People don't understand how important it is with the IRS. You don't fuck with the IRS. Seriously. I know people who killed themselves because of the IRS. I know 2 people who shot themselves in the head because of IRS audits. That you lose sleep over shit like that. And honestly, as much as I love doing shows, as much as I love doing stuff over the years, it is not worth me losing my livelihood, maybe even getting in legal trouble over it, simply because somebody wants to do a podcast but don't want to pay the taxes. That's something that nobody that's why when you hear little things going on, oh, Don Tony's an asshole. He's a scumbag. He's a prick. He does no, there's a shitload more that people don't know about. You don't fuck with the IRS, and I'm certainly not screwing with the IRS. Hell no. But for some of you out there, be a little careful with that. And look, we're going to give this away now. Yeah. Oh my God. How long have we been going? 2 hours, 20 minutes? Oh shit. We got to start wrap this up. By the way, I got a little Lenny audio. How long do we got? We got 10 minutes of Lenny audio. So we'll do it at the very end. So if anybody doesn't want to hear it, you could disconnect. Maybe we'll go a little longer. I'm good right now. But you see, even things like this, if you win this, you could probably get $200-$300 on eBay if somebody wants it. You got to remember that. A Vince McMahon autograph is hard to get. A Shane McMahon autograph is hard to get. Getting it on the same thing is even harder. But, you might find yourself at a time where nobody's looking for a Vince or a Shane autograph. I got more important things to look for right now. But my point is, when somebody, out there will be like, oh my God, what generosity and, how kind you are to give this stuff away. Yes, that's true. But, without trying to sound like a dick, the reason why I give away stuff as well is to give back, obviously, and have a little bit of fun and do contests. But it also helps me with my taxes. Here's something that a lot of you may not even know. Christmas bonuses. Christmas bonuses. When I worked for my father, when I was a teenager, they had a Christmas party, and everybody got an envelope. I got an envelope. I opened it up. I think it was $20 in there. Other people got $500, $1,000, whatever. And me, I was just a teenager, and I was his son, so, I obviously shouldn't have gotten what everybody else did. But my father told me years later that the reason why he did the bonuses is not because, everybody deserved it or this. I mean, they did, but This way, at the end of the year, he knows as far as itemizing expenses on the taxes, he knows what he can deduct. And if you give gifts to a certain amount and that gets you below a tax bracket, that's what people do. When you see some of these people on Twitter, I'm going to give away $500. How many of you have seen that? If you follow me and retweet me, you know, you might win $100. You know why people do that? Because they know that they need to get under a certain amount to be under a lower tax bracket. They may have to give away $2,000 worth of prizes. They may have to give away $2,000 worth of expenses. You give somebody a little bonus and it's a gift. See how it works? By the way, I did hear that. Seriously. Awesome. Keith Lee, Mia Yim got engaged. Her ring is beautiful. Looks like the ring that I got my fiance. I love that look. They look great together. Seriously. I mean, Keith Lee's a big-ass motherfucker. He is huge in size. I mean, it's kind of funny. And I'm not trying to compare my physique to Keith Lee. But if you look at Keith Lee compared to Mia Yim and you look at me compared to my fiance, like, you know, I'm a pretty big guy next to her. So that's good. I'm really happy for them. They got engaged. That's awesome. Seriously. So good for her. You know, she went through some bullshit recently with trolls when she caught COVID. You had some people out there that actually can't separate the retribution character and Mia Yim, and they pretty much were giving her a hard time. By the way, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but did you see the latest garbage with this stalker for Alexa Bliss? There are wrestling websites right now reporting that fans have figured out who the person is. Anybody out there know the name of the person? I think the initials are like BB or something like that, but anybody offhand saw that story? And they're reporting that fans out there have figured out who the Alexa Bliss stalker is, and they're basing it on an older Twitter account. Somebody's got to post the name of the person. And when I tell you this, you're going to realize that these people that are reporting this, they really need to get a slap upside the head. Yeah, it's Bobby something. Somebody's got to post the name. When we get the name, then I'll tell you why those websites really, seriously, they need to shut it down. I'll explain why. Somebody's Googling it right now. So I don't know how anybody could take pride of being that garbage, that much garbage. It's not like there is no secret convention of like websites where they get together and they giggle like, yeah, you trolled a lot of people with your shit news. Bobby Boucher, is that it? Bobby Butchett? Is that it? Bobby Boucher or Butchett? Here's where we laugh at all these goofs. All right, here it is. Bobby Berthiaume. Berthiaume. Now it's Junior. Bobby Berthiaume Jr. Okay. Here's where we prove that these websites are arguably worse than this whack job. They're reporting that fans have figured out that the person is Bobby Berthiaume Jr. And they're basing it on an old Twitter account. Tell me, Inspector Gadgets, how do you know that Bobby Berthiaume Jr. is his real name? But it's an older Twitter account, and that's the name he used. The fuck does that mean? A fake account, they found an older fake account, and now the identity of the stalker has been revealed. You can't make this up. I used to, listen, everybody knows me as Don Tony. Before I was Don Tony and I was doing wrestling managing, I was Tony Cannoli. And the Don Tony thing happened because of the incident with that guy Slash, and somebody asked me, what did I think? I was a mafia guy, and that's how Don Tony was born. If people don't know the story, if you want me to tell it, Some people will roll their eyes, but before I was Don Tony, I was Tony Cannoli. The equivalent, and before that I was Anthony the Funker. Like my middle name was the word the. Anthony the Funker. Because I was a funker. Terry Funk fan. Yes, I know about the video, about the autographs. It's sad. We'll talk about that another day. But that's like saying, all right, we got to get the real identity of Don Tony. Everyone, we found an older Twitter account. It's Tony Cannoli. No, we found an older Twitter. It's Anthony the Funker. His name is Anthony Funker. These people are so goddamn stupid. How stupid could you be? Because you find an older troll account of the same person with a different name. That's real? Oh my God, that's so bad. Oh, so stupid. I don't know. I honestly don't know where these people came from these websites. But my God, I mean, could you just imagine what these people do? Yeah, Anthony Funker Jr. Could you imagine what these people do in their real lives? Could you imagine what they look like? Could you imagine what, I can't even envision it. I'm not trying to make fun of people that they don't have significant others or anything like that, but I say that to prove a point. You see grown-ass adults on social media putting people down and making fun. I saw it yesterday across the board. You know, I mean, I tried to be polite about Layla Hirsch, that it's hard to have a match with her. You can't do a back body drop off of her because you'll end up in the middle rope and not the top rope. But I saw some horrendously harsh shit said about Layla Hirsch yesterday. I can only imagine how she felt. And I thought about being a jerk and joke also, saying like, oh, she must have felt like this big. Oh, she is this big. But no, I don't do that because it's not right. Just because it's funny doesn't make it right. But my point is that you look at these grown-ass people doing this stuff, and most of the time, you don't know what they look like. There's no hint of any relationship whatsoever, because who in their right mind would be married or involved with someone that does this? You look at these people from Ringside News, they have made this their full-time job. They made this their full-time job. Now, if anybody really wants to find out who they are, you just got to get the corporation information, and then depending on the state that they're in, you look up the filings. That's how you do it. I mean, there is ways of finding out who these people are, but it's not worth it. But could you just imagine who the people are behind these sites? I have no idea. Crazy, crazy shit, man. Want to do the contest? You're probably asking me why I have a couple of pictures here. Because I got to make sure that something that I do on the video is right. Just in case anybody out there knows sign language. I'm giving you a little bit of a hint right now. There's sign language involved with this. Costanza says JD calls them UK geeks. Well, if that's what he calls them, you know. But if he's doing a broad brush and he's talking about, as far as Ringside News, I don't know what else you call them. I mean, it's not taking like personal pot shots at them. There's nothing personal against these people. We're not talking about their physique, and we're not making fun of how they look, you just see what's going on. Websites are not, and you say to yourself, how could someone be involved with someone else and not be embarrassed? Like I said, when you see grown-ass adults saying some of the stuff that they say, simply because there's an LOL at the end of it, could you just imagine? That's why I changed how I write on social media. You don't look at my social media, even before my father got sick. Look at my social media for the last month or two, since January, since New Year's Day. You will find virtually no sign of any goof things or anything like that. 99% of what I've written, I've totally eliminated that. I'm kind of embarrassed to write stuff like a 15-year-old when I'm not 15 years old. So anyway, I appreciate you all hanging out towards the end. Let's put this up here. All right. Just in case. Okay. We got a little light issue. Okay, that's kind of good. All right. So let me show you this a little bit. Let's just go over the numbers. And for those that tune in late that don't know why I'm showing this, I'll explain. We got 25, 25, 50, 50, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 75, 75. The purples you do not want. The purples are a goose egg. 0, 0, 100, 200, and then we're back to 20 and 20. So here's how we're doing this. It's a Who Am I contest, and after the Who Am I contest, I will answer the last couple of super chats, and then we'll call it a night. It's a Who Am I contest. It's somebody that you've seen on television multiple times the last couple of months at least. So it's not somebody, that's just sitting in the stands doing nothing. So that'll kind of help you with a hint right now. I will go through my hints. The first person that guesses the wrestler right will win this WWF magazine autographed by Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon. Here is the Beckett card. If you go on Beckett's website, Beckett has this authenticated to be real, and it shows the description. They have photos on file of this, so it is 1,000% real. Beckett authenticated, PSA, DNA, all that stuff, that's very important to have. Now look, wrestlers do autograph signings for collectible stores and sports stores all throughout the world. Not saying that those are not legit, but for those out there with more valuable items, something like that is something you would want to get. And if any of you have any valuable items at home that you think have some decent worth to it, it may be beneficial to send it out to Beckett or one of these companies, get it authenticated, because that'll just increase the value of the item. So trust me, simply because it's Beckett authenticated probably boosted this value of this item at least $100 or $200. No joke. So anyway, here's where the wheel comes in. First person that gets the Who Am I contest correct, guesses the right person, will win the magazine. Maybe that person does not want the magazine. If you don't want the magazine, instead, you could get a shot at the prize wheel. And what that means is I would spin the wheel. Whatever it lands on, that's your prize. You could win $200. You could win a big fat goose egg. And the chat room is shown on the screen, so nobody could finagle it. Nobody could screw it up. So if anybody out there wins and decides they don't want the magazine, they could get this instead. Now, if you choose the cash prize, you're going to ask me, how can I collect? I'd like to keep it simple. If you have PayPal, I will PayPal you the cash immediately. If you want like an Amazon e-gift card, I will give you an e-gift card immediately. Or if you want a money order, I will go to the post office and get a money order and send you a money order. So, and that ink is erasable. So, when we do the contest again, we'll change it up a little bit. It doesn't always have to be cash. We could kind of like put different wrestlers' names on there and spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, you get an autograph of that wrestler. We could do so many different things with it. So anyway, let's do a practice spin just to see what would have happened. So here we go. So in that case, somebody would have only won $10. We'll do a spin it one more time. In that case, somebody would have won $75. All right, so we ready? Yeah, money orders still do exist, Austin Nance. Oh, Complexity said that. All right, so I'm going to start going through these hints. Now, obviously the hints are not going to be, very specific with matches, because you think in a match, you'll probably figure it out 1, 2, 3. And somebody may actually get this very quickly. So I want everybody ready to type. You have to, if the person has 2 names or 3 names in their name, you got to type the entire full name, not just the first name, because you want to get in there quick. It's got to be the full name of the wrestler of today. Gave you another hint just now. It's a wrestler. Okay. I want to do the picture one first. Okay. Here we go. If I did this, or if I did this, or if I did this, you probably want to punch me in the mouth. I've appeared at 16 Royal Rumble pay-per-views, and my record is a whopping 0-16. My name, in part, is a tribute to my great-grandfather. I had a pretty damn good amateur wrestling career, and at the time, broke the record for the most career pins in my school, not only in high school, but also in college. Nobody's gotten it yet. I was an all Mid-American. We got a winner. We got a winner. We got a winner. Son of a bitch. That was pretty quick. Now, you can stop the entries. We got a winner. Let me read you all of the entries. Now, I haven't said who it was yet, so you could keep throwing your guesses, but I saw who was the first person to answer it. So anyway, let me read you all the hints. I've appeared at 16 Royal Rumble pay-per-views, and my record is a whopping 0-16. My name, in part, is a tribute to my great-grandfather. I had a pretty damn good amateur wrestling career, and at the time, broke the record for the most career pins in my high school, and did it again for the most pins in my college. I was an All-Mid-American Conference champion in 2003. 1 year later, I signed with WWE. After a memorable first year in WWE 2006, and a week shy of my 1 year anniversary being on the main roster, I was sent down to the minor leagues. I didn't return to WWE TV until almost 18 months later, and within a month back on TV, I failed the wellness program. I've done all this research myself, so I think I've pretty much been detailed with this. I've been a tag team wrestler, and I've also been a singles wrestler. My first singles match on the main roster was a loss to Batista. Rolling Stone chose me as the Wrestler of the Year one time in my career. I've won Most Improved and Most Underrated Wrestler of the Year once for the Wrestling Observer. The highest I've ever been ranked in Pro Wrestling Illustrated was number 9. I've held 14 titles in my WWE main roster career. I have a couple of Slammy Awards that I won legitimately. I've appeared in movies, cartoons, game shows, and network news broadcasts. I am currently a champion. I am quite the ladies' man with an interesting resume of women I've dated, and I was once dumped by someone famous because she thought I was too athletic. And by the way, this person knows sign language too. Now, Mike, Yours Best Bargains LLC, I believe, was the first one to get it right. We got to go backwards. Let's scroll it backwards. Let's see. Okay, we got contest time. Let me look for the first person that said it. I'm checking. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. No. There we go. There we go. Your Best Bargains, LLC. Look at the top of the list. He was the first person with the name Dolph Ziggler. Mike DeSimone, Your Best Bargains, LLC. He was the one who got it right. So now Mike, okay, he said he'll take the magazine. You know what? Because I'm in a great mood. Let's see who came in second. And I honestly was not planning this. Who came in second? Let's go check up here. Hold on. Mike, Your Best Bargains. There's his winner. Space Mountain Woo. Okay. Space Mountain Woo. You know what? Because we're in a great mood and we're having a great night, and we've gone already, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Space Mountain Woo. Let's spin the wheel. Whatever it lands on, you get a little gift from us tonight. All right. Make this nice. I'm going to spin it. Whatever it lands on, this is what you're going to get as a consolation prize. I'm sorry if it lands on a 0. $50. So, Space Mountain Woo, I know you have my email address. So, email me, dontony@dontony.com. Let me know you want the $50. It's yours. So, it was a lot of fun. I think it was a lot of fun tonight. That was pretty good. So, cool. Now, let me ask you quick. What'd you think of the hints? You think a little too difficult? You think they were detailed enough? Like, I don't clickbait. I don't want anybody I don't ever want anybody to feel that the hints are deceiving, you know. Sev says he was second. Are you kidding me? We got to go check it again. Let me check it one more time before we get into the. I want to make sure. We got to be fair over here. All right, let's see. All right, so let's see if Sev is second. Here's Mike, Your Best Bargains. You see it right in the middle. So let's go down. No, you see, look, Sev, I'm sorry, man. Look up. See where you are? Look up 2 spots. Space Mountain Woo was right above you. So, and, you know, it was Space Mountain Woo. But you wouldn't have got anything anyway. I'll give you a choice of any shirt or any video. Wrestler, podcast, whatever you want. SV. Email me, dontony@dontony.com. I'll hook you up. So, it's all good, man. We're all family. We're having fun. That's what matters. So, all right. Dillon, I answered yours. So, SoFlyBmOrE. Do I think wrestling fans dissect wrestling too much? You don't really enjoy it as much as they should? No, I don't think so. I think dissecting wrestling is what keeps fans interested. It's just like other sports. Some people like break down statistics to microscopic levels, especially with like baseball. It's amazing. So no, I think wrestling fans who like to dissect a lot of things, it's keeping their interest. And that's a good thing. It's when people use it for excuses. Like I said, with the AEW stuff, look, the AEW and NXT ratings yesterday were not shit because of the impeachment hearings. That is a lame excuse. You know, especially when you think about what transpired during the day. It was opening statements. You think that wrestling fans all throughout the night into 10, 11, 12 midnight were sitting there and talking about the opening statements of people they don't even... Come on. We proved that with the day that they stormed the Capitol, January 6th. Look at AEW and NXT's rating on January 6th and look at it the week later. That's when people are just trying to twist it to fill a narrative. And that's where they kind of get screwy. So, Space Mountain Woo. He celebrated by becoming a member of the Donzilla Army. Awesome, man. Oh, you know what that means? We get a new emoji. Yeah, he actually brought us to the next level with emojis. So you know what I'll do for our members? I want everybody and the members, I'll post a thread tonight. I want you to give me like an example of what you want as the next emoji. Doesn't have to be wrestling related. It could be anything, you know? So, okay. So, but no, SoFly, I think dissecting stuff is good. It keeps people entertained. It keeps people, keeps them interactive, in tune, involved. It's just like I said, when people twist things just to fit a certain narrative or clickbait to just get attention, you know, that's where it becomes unfun. You always want to keep fans involved. So I actually think that's a pretty damn good thing. So Roger Rubio, eat, drink. I got cotton mouth. He's going to catch the show on the download. Awesome, man. By the way, shout out to everybody. Oh, yeah, a reminder. If you haven't done this already, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, we want to get to 20,000 subscribers. You know, it's been a little bit of a crawl at the 17,000 mark, but we want to do it the right way. You know, like I said, you come across some interesting cats on YouTube. There's some people out there with 50,000, 60,000 subscribers, even more for some people, and their videos get 500 views. There's no way that you can have 60, 70,000 subscribers and only 0.5% want to watch your shit. So, you know, we want to do it the right way, man. So hit that like button, subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever new shows come out. By the way, Sunday, I will be doing a Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble? What the hell month am I in? We're going to do an NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day recap. We only have, I think, 5 or 6 matches announced, and some of them are going to go awfully long, so I don't think we're going to have to really spend a hell of a lot of time reviewing it. I don't want to do a watch-along because I think 2.5 to 3 hours for an NXT pay-per-view might be a bit much. So, yeah, so if you're interested, I will be here Sunday night right after NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, and I'll give you my overall thoughts of it. I think it's going to be awesome. I'll do predictions tomorrow night. And let's see. Addison Miller, who was better, Howard Stern or Opie and Anthony? You know, I remember when Howard Stern was on WNBC AM radio, 66. He was on there with Don Imus. This is before he became famous, really famous. I think overall, there was a point that I loved tuning in to Don Imus and Howard Stern. When Howard Stern went to, I think, 92 K-Rock, that's what it was, K-Rock. I mean, I used to tune in every single day. I mean, it was funny ass shit. He was very censored, obviously, because he was on FM radio, could not curse. I think once he started doing the cable stuff and simulcasting and being able to curse, I think at times it got way over the top. You know, I mean, you look back at some of that stuff when they did like, I think it was Homeless Hollywood Squares or something like that, and they had the 2 lesbians in the one booth or whatever. It was something Hollywood Squares. You know, like some of it, you look back on it, you never be able to do that today. But overall, I enjoyed Howard Stern early on. I would say over the last 10 years, I'm really disinterested with Howard Stern. Homeless Jeopardy. They did also Homeless Hollywood Squares. I'm pretty sure they did Homeless Hollywood Squares, but Homeless Jeopardy, yeah. Hollyweird Squares, that's what it was. Hollyweird Squares, that's what it was. In fact, I even think they had Gene Rayburn as one of the squares at that time too. But Opie and Anthony, I never really committed to them. There was a couple of times, especially when they used to cover wrestling, like I would get interested, I would tune in for a little bit, but I would find myself almost immediately tuning out. I know a lot of people over the years have compared some of the stuff that we've done with Opie and Anthony, styles, different pairings of people. If it was similar, it's just because so many of us, have similar styles. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have said to me over the years, like, you sound just like Paul Heyman. I'm like, no, that's just the way I talk. And I've been doing that since 97. Some people, you get a little bit from different people over the years. People rub off on you. But I know a lot of you out there really enjoyed Opie and Anthony. And yes, SoFly, you're right. Some people thought that Opie and Anthony were kind of like Howard Stern light, that they really were trying to be like similar to Howard Stern. And yeah, I could see that absolutely. But Howard Stern, I mean, when you remember some of the deals that he made, that's, if you're going to try to emulate someone, you want to emulate someone successful. You want to emulate someone who's actually doing the right thing and really banking from it. You don't want to emulate someone who's a failure unless you see what caused them to fail and you think you have the solution for it. So, yeah, Austin, yeah, Paul Heyman. Sometimes when I do some of my rants and the way that I talk and my pauses, they think, oh, that's Paul Heyman. No, that's just me. So, guess who's the Jew? Yeah, you can't do that now. You might be able to do it, but I think you would still get some backlash from it. So, yeah, that's how I feel. I just, but I do understand why a lot of you out there preferred Opie and Anthony over Stern. I understand why people really enjoyed them. Just for me, I liked old school Howard Stern. It felt like, I think some of you may agree with me on this. Once he started landing those gigantic contracts, it felt like he would always fall back on similar themes. Like a woman is topless in the studio. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a woman topless in the studio, like certain topics and vulgarity and things. Like you would see the same template over and over and over again. And it felt like it got lazy at times. Phil Hendry's show, I don't remember. If I see a clip, then I might actually remember it. So my favorite, and I know this will piss off some of you out there, my favorite talk show or show with like people attending live, my favorite one as far as opining is Morton Downey Jr. I know a lot of you out there could not stand that guy. Morton Downey Jr., he's rubbed off on me a little bit. My style and some of the ways, my views and attitude. But yeah, Morton Downey Jr., back in the late 80s. I mean, a lot of you will only know the guy from the segment with Roddy Piper, WrestleMania. Give me some of that smoke, Mr. Downey. Don't blow smoke in my face. That's where everybody remembers it. So, but yeah, Morton Downey Jr. was my favorite. I mean, it got whack in the final months of his show, and who would ever forget, that he did what Tawana Brawley did. Went to a bathroom stall, claimed that he got beat up by skinhead Nazis, and it was a lie. So, if you've out there never seen Morton Downey Jr., watch one episode. Watch the pro wrestling episode with Dr. D. David Schultz. Captain Lou Albano is on there. Paul Heyman, Paul E., calls in. There's a couple of familiar faces on that show, but you will either find it uber offensive or you will laugh your ass off. You got to watch the entire episode. Watch the pro wrestling episode. Oh, man, you will love it. Devin M., you're very welcome. He got the Ronda Rousey photo. You know, I try to be very transparent over here. I'll never offer something and not deliver it. That's one thing that I cringe when I see people doing that. Empty promises. That's something that I'd rather just be straight up and say, look, I can't do this. Like last Friday, I couldn't do the show. There was actually, I was this close of not being able to do the show tomorrow too. I was actually going to have to spend the evening at my parents' house, but my brother's going over there. I still want to see my dad, obviously, but it's been a really crazy week. So tomorrow night, I'm probably going to just kick back and relax. So we'll do a SmackDown recap. We will do predictions for TakeOver. We'll get into a couple other news tidbits. So tomorrow should be a fairly quick night. I mean, we'll get into quarter-hour ratings, too, for AEW and NXT. I have last week's quarter-hour ratings. Nothing earth-shattering coming out of it, other than, I think, what we all maybe feared, that the wedding quarter-hour with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford was one of the highest quarter-hours of the whole night. So what does that tell you? And if you even want to break it down to demos, women freaking were glued to that segment. So, but yeah, thank you, Devin. I mean, my father, obviously, there's a long road ahead. I got to see what's going to happen next Thursday, because next Thursday, we're going for the COVID vaccine, the second shot. So my father obviously is not going to be able to stand outside in the bitter cold. So I'm hoping to let him just lounge out in my truck, in the back seat, you know, until it's time for him to get his injection. And then he goes in and gets it done. But yeah, I'll let you know tomorrow how Kenta did in the ratings. There's no reason why I shouldn't have it tomorrow. But anyway, should we call it a night or should we do the Lenny audio? I mean, it's 12 minutes long. I mean, it's Lenny and that guy Howie. I mean, some of you out there are kind of like addicted to that insane shit. To think these maniacs left this stuff on my hotline every day. Every day. I'm going to leave it up to everybody live. Do we continue it for 12 more minutes and play the audio, or do we end it now? Oh, 10 minutes is not going to make a difference with me sleeping, Devin. I mean, honestly, I could probably... Oh, and by the way, you know, I apologize for everybody who's on like Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter, and Daily Motion, and wherever else it's live. I didn't realize Monday I forgot to like turn something on, so they didn't stream in those areas. All right, so I'll play it. So for everyone else, if you don't want to hear it, you can disconnect. Some out here have a little fetish. You know, I did a wrestling hotline from 1997 until around 2005 or 2006, around there. And for some reason, I would get people that would leave me 30, 40, 50, 60 messages a day, calling out other people, which I still don't understand to this day. They had their own wrestling hotline. That Captain Lenny had his own wrestling hotline. I don't know why he wouldn't just call these people out, like Howard Weiner and his Vinny G. And by the way, next week I'll show you a picture of what Vinny G looks like. They would leave messages on my voicemail. I would do a wrestling hotline, and I would tune in the next day to see what kind of feedback I got. And that's how I ended up working for ECW that final year. There was a message left on my hotline. You know, give us a call. We'd love to do some stuff. And in the midst of this, 30, 40, 50, 60 messages a day from these whack jobs. So again, if you don't want to tune in, but I will do it one more time. On the way out, if you could hit that blue like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, I would appreciate it. That lets YouTube know you recommend the show to others. And I thought that was so cool. Some of you told me that when you logged into YouTube Tuesday, that YouTube, your first recommended show to tune into was Monday night's Breakfast Soup Raw. Oh, and by the way, I mentioned this yesterday. I want to mention it again now. 10 seconds. Remember Monday when Mish and I were on and we were talking about Ali? Eat Eat. He's telling Retribution, eat. It's your turn to eat. Mish started playing a couple of seconds of that audio. And I immediately started like, because I told him, I said, I'm worried. I said, WWE will flag it. And Mish, you could see, got a little angry at me. I don't try to do things to get him mad, but he got a little angry, and he's like, no, I don't think that's correct. Well, WWE did not flag it on YouTube. But for those that thought that I was kind of like paranoid about it, I got flagged on Facebook because this show aired on Facebook Monday night. WWE flagged my show because 3 seconds of that Ali audio made it through because when Mish played the clip. So what I did was I responded back to Facebook and I said, look, it was 3 seconds. You know, we did not realize that we couldn't do it. You know, we cut it off immediately. If I need to, I will cut the whole segment out entirely. And WWE responded back and said, no, it's cool. You could keep it up. So that's my point. Some people out there would have immediately gone to Twitter and bitched to Twitter and said, look what WWE did. They're fucked up and this and that. Sometimes if you're nice about things, they do give you a little bit of a break. So, yes, Juan, this is when Mish started playing the audio of Ali saying eat. And when I heard it, to try to stop him from playing it, I should have just muted his mic. But I started going, no, because I didn't want that audio to come through. So I know what I'm talking about, man. YouTube, Facebook, these channels, when it comes to like copyrighted footage, it's very weird. You cannot, you know, take it for granted. And you cannot assume that things will get through. Because 3 seconds, boom, flagged. All right, everyone. So, wow, very disappointed. I don't think any of you hit that like button when I just, did that thing. So, it's all good. I know some of you are tired. So, if you're not interested in hearing more crazy voicemail messages that I used to get on my wrestling hotlines, you could disconnect now. Thank you, as always, for the support. Much love. And I hope to see you Friday night, 10:05 p.m., after SmackDown. But for those that want to stick around for 10 minutes more, here is just some random more voicemails from Captain Lenny, Howard Weiner. So glad I kept these, by the way. These are like 20 years old. Enjoy, everybody. Oh, let's put the chat room back up. See everybody's reactions like, what the fuck am I listening to? All right, here you go. All right, enjoy.
Hello, Joe-Boy. This is Nelson the Birdman. And I am coming over for dinner, Joe-Boy. He comes in colors everywhere. He comes ahead. He's like a rainbow. Shoots in colors everywhere. To Lenny that queer. He comes and goes. Have you seen Vinny just in gold? Like the fucking cocksuckers that are around. He shoots colors everywhere. Cause he's a fucking queer. Have you seen the He comes and goes everywhere. Is it never stop? Vinny G. Take by the stage. Where you're a stranger. People see wicked. Where you're alone. I'm gonna stay. Where you're a stage. Vinny, come out of the ring.
Makes you want to do a wrestling hotline, right?
No one fucking will remember your name. Because you're lame. And you're a fucking shame. Oh, boom, 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 boom. It isn't another land. He strokes Lenny with his hand. That Lenny comes in cement, like Jim Ross would say. Lenny and Vinny are gay. And I want Vinny off the line because he's bogus all the time. He's bogus.
It's all about wrestling hotlines. That's all they talk about. Wrestling hotlines and sex.
He is bogus, bogus, to do with your life, Lenny? What are you going to do now that you have no life? You have to smack down on Thursday night because you were a dreaded sight. And Vinny back with all your might, you couldn't fight. So Vinny, goodbye, farewell, and good luck on your fucking, your bogus. As bogus as your body, as bogus as your storylines, as bogus as the things you make up. You are fake. You are as fake as the orgasm had when a girl is in bed with a guy, except you who never experienced that. You boy, Vinny, you are a fraud. Vinny, you are a freak. Vinny, anytime I'll fight you one-on-one, you fucking horse sissy bastard. And you can break your bottle with your
I had to censor the F word out.
And remember, Vinny, G. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5. Kiss your fucking dandelions. You be pushing fucking daisies, you boy.
Vinny, you cannot play the game properly. Vinny, I will sugarcoat this message. Vinny, you take every prescribed medicine in the book, and there have been no results. Vinny, anything you will say against me will be held against you, including what you do against Lenny's backside with your little Silverado pharmacy. Vinny, your house looks like a fucking mini pharmacy. You got Paxil, you got Zoloft, you've got Haldol, but your hands shake just like when you're ready to touch the nipple of Lenny. Your hands shake from Haldol. Vinny, you're not black, you're not white, I don't know what the fuck you are, but next time I have an ice cream soda, I'm gonna puke. Vinny, take your Haldol, your Zoloft, your Paxil, take your Librium, take your Valium, take whatever you have prescribed, take your Xanax after meals, take your Paxil after breakfast. Vinny, you have a lack of serotonin. Vinny, you have a lack of melatonin. Vinny, you have a lack of testosterone and progesterone. You are a female hermaphrodite. Vinny, you are a psycho. You are a fraud. You are a clown. You are bogus. You are a charade, a charlatan.
I still don't know why they left me these messages. I didn't like playing them for this Vinny guy.
Nobody wants to stay with you. And number 1, you are an Arab. Number 2, you take prescribed medication. Oh, let me tell you one very quick story, if you don't mind. About 2 months ago, prior to the incident where I had to get 3 10-year-olds to chase him down the train, and he ran like the little sissy that he is. We're talking about Vinnie Mac, obviously. I mean, who else really fits that description? There was a little, a bunch of freaks hang out in the village. Some are girls, some are guys, some are like he, she's, and whatever you want to call them, lipstick lesbians, or, whatever. Anyway, let me get to the point. There was a big van. There were a bunch of women in there that were, they looked a little like men. They were a little freaky, the village, how it is. So there was actually a woman in the van that was attracted to Vinny. And this woman was so intuitive that she realized that Vinny, looking at him, was gay or a sissy or both. A sissy is like the lowest form to me. A sissy's like an imbecile, a moron, an idiot, a cretin, whatever. But this girl realized that even though she actually was attracted to this freak of nature, this Filipino who looks like the last shit I took, she was attracted to him. So she more or less telegraphed and read into his mind that he was a sissy and totally afraid of having sex with any gender. So she had to do something in the car, and she said, "Hey, you motherfucker, come to the car. Hey, you motherfucker, come to the car." And he realized that it might be a girl, and he was scared away. So what what she did to try and get him into the van was to show a cock. I don't know if it was a real cock, a synthetic cock, a prosthetic cock, whatever you want to call it, but she pretended to be a guy and say, I'm not a girl, I'm a guy. And that's how he was gravitated, if that's the right word, to the car. And after that, Vinny, his cock was tingling. I don't know, but like it got hot all over because he thought it was a man. As a matter of fact, Matt and Peter, being the gentlemen that they are, along with Nick and Anthony, A-Rock, they didn't want to hurt the fucking guy's feelings. But when he went to the Sage Diner after the show, they didn't want anything to do with the fucking guy. Just look at the way he acts. Look at him. Pathetic. Would you want to sit and mingle and associate and patronize with someone like that? Would you? Well, now you know how I tried to help the guy out, but to no avail. Lenny, drop dead! You freak! Lenny! I'll be a friend! I don't want to be a friend! I felt bad for you, you fucking handicapped son of a bitch! I want to fuck little Michael. Where's little Michael? I want to fuck little Michael. I want to fuck little Michael. I want to fuck little Michael. Just like Captain Lenny does. I want to fuck him so hard. I want to fuck him so hard. I want to fuck Michael. I want to fuck me so bad. I want to fuck me so bad. Put the lotion on.
Little Michael was not a kid. Little Michael was a midget.
You mentally insane pig. You know every hotline host got your address. Do you know that, Mr. Wiener? You're a pitiful, pitiful man. You know what? Why don't we challenge each other face to face, man to man? You got the
Vinny's still alive.
I'll have the police.
Vinny was very young. Vinny was like, I think, like 20 at the time.
25 Neptune Avenue, you sick duck. All right. Just like they surrounded Vinny and Mac at the Port Authority. Yeah, Vinny G, you know they surrounded you at the Port Authority. This is me talking. You know you were
Elizabeth, this is what I was greeted to every day on my wrestling hotline for voicemail. Instead of getting feedback, I get hours of this every day. Leaving it on my machine, like I was going to relay the messages.
And let me tell you something, Vinny G, I ain't afraid of nobody. I ain't afraid of you because you know my friends. To kill you at the Port of Authority, the undercover cops, they threw you against the wall because I don't want to be on your shitty hotline, because you're nothing but garbage, because you wear tons of makeup. Monkey Michael Jackson, bye-bye. Michael Jackson went to town, named Vinny G. Michael Jackson went to town, his name was Vinny G. He bent over for Howie in the Soul Bowl, yes. He went to 425 Avenue and got screwed in the ass. Vinny G went to 425 Neptune Avenue and he bent over for Howard Wiener. Yes, he did. Vinny G, Vincent Smith, the brick he is. The makeup man. Bye-bye. Play it again, Sam. What do you think Vince McMahon meant when he said minority? He meant the wrestling pile driver. Minority Report, egghead. You know he listens to my line, egg boy. And you don't like it because I'm the most popular hotline out there, egg boy. Bye-bye. 425 Neptune Avenue. 425 Neptune Avenue. 425 Neptune Avenue. 425 Neptune Avenue.
It's me. I was the one on the boardwalk. I tried to get the people I mentioned about 30 times everywhere. Careful. I am Nick Nazis.
That's it for now. Sick, man. Crazy shit. You know, I know I keep bringing up, you know, like what I did in the past for some wrestling companies, but just think about that. Got a voicemail message one day from certain person in ECW. You know, this is so-and-so. You know, we hear nothing but good things about your hotline and the exposure it gets. We would love to do something with you. If we could sell some tickets through your hotline, give us a call. And in the midst of all of this, you know, getting messages from loyal supporters, fans, you get this. And it was, no joke, 10, 20, 30 messages a night. And it just went on and on and on. I kind of wish back then you had a voicemail that would only like leave like a 30-second message. But they would have probably called 100 times. George, I have hours and hours and hours of this still. It's like almost never ending. I'm still going through the old hard drive because like I explained a couple of weeks ago, it crashed about 10, 15 years ago, and I had it repaired, but when it restored a lot of the files, it is, if anybody's ever had a hard drive crash in them, you know what I'm talking about. They restore the files, and the files are renamed. Instead of the names of the file, it's just renamed to like random numbers or letters. So I literally have to one by one go through each one and you know, see what am I listening to. And the problem is I have thousands of wrestling themes. So you go through all these files and you got theme song, theme song, theme song, theme song. And then one time you get lucky and you get something like this. So, yeah, these guys were crazy, man. I just, like I said, to this day, I don't understand why they would leave this on my line. I wasn't going to call this guy Vinny. This guy Vinny was a little nuts. I'll show you next week what he looks like. He used to dress up like Michael Jackson. He actually had lip injections to make it more like Michael Jackson. And I got to find it, but he took pictures with Vince McMahon, took pictures with John Cena, Linda McMahon, Shane McMahon, Batista. It goes on and on and on. They would pose with him. A guy dressed and looks just like Michael Jackson, they would pose with him when they would just come into the building. So I have some. I definitely have them. And I will see what I find over the next week, and I will put them online for you next week. The Michael Jackson ones I have. But I got to find the ones when he posed. The one with Vince McMahon is priceless because he sent them to me. So I would share it with everyone. So I just got to find them. So anyway, shout out to Shitty Kitty. Shitty Kitty, you know, it's a little different putting something like this on Patreon because it would just be an upload. And then people will listen to it at their leisure and be like, what the hell am I listening to? Over here, we could be live with the video in the chat room. You know, that's one thing that sucks about Patreon. It doesn't have an active chat room. There's a few things that are missing there. So, you know, that's why, like I say, I want to keep them separate identities because, you know, features are a little bit different on each one. But anyway, this was an awesome night, man. Definitely was a nice release. And like I wrote on Twitter earlier today, you know, tonight and Thursdays, I try to do it every show, but tonight especially is really a cool way to just get our mind off of all the BS going on in the world and talk about whatever is on your mind. I mean, there were points where we were talking about really wrestling in detail. Then you would go on to video games and then go on to other things. So that's what I freaking like about it. I mean, no topic is out of bounds. You know, we did have one troll earlier, which is going to happen from time to time. But a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We'll do it again. So if you're around tomorrow, like I said, 10:05 p.m., you're welcome to join me. SmackDown recap, pay-per-view predictions for Vengeance Day. We'll get into the quarter-hour ratings and any other tidbits that we need to discuss. And that's pretty much it. So everyone have a great night. Sam, thank you very much for helping me a little bit tonight. Unfortunately, that little wrench by your name will have to leave for tonight Because like I said, I think every week we will rotate GMs, moderators, whatever you want to call yourselves. So today we had Sam. I think Sam did an overall good job. Didn't have to do much, which is what you want. But everyone on the way out, if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you know anyone that you think would enjoy the shows, spread the word. Let them know about the channel. And if they do check out the channel and they're enjoying it, tell them to speak up. I'll give them a shout out. So, all right, everyone. Much love as always. Everyone on the other platforms, I hope you enjoyed it as well. Hopefully we didn't have any issues with any video or buffering. I didn't see any buffering tonight, which thank God we fixed that problem. That was not fun a month ago. But and thank you again for all your thoughts and prayers for my dad. Like I said, I got Judge Janine working on a little video for him, and then the rest of it will come up with some type of food gift, and I will post pictures. I will show you. Everybody's names will be on it, and I'm telling you, really made him feel good last week, and that's very important for yours truly. So that was very, very special, and I'll never forget that. So, all right, everybody, have a great night. Much love. I'll catch you all again tomorrow for the Don Tony Show. Take care. Good night, everybody.